Okay. Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to the finals of the Ultimate Arena. Of course, we do have my co-host Jeff Cat here. We'll say hello, Jeff Cat.
Hey everybody, good to see you.
I would like everyone to know that after some time zone issues, I was not the latest person to show up.
Yeah.
So even though we are starting 20 minutes late, we're gonna blame... Who are we blaming, Jeff? Kenny can't defend himself. So I guess we'll blame Kenny.
Yeah, it's kind of unfair. Plus he's helping us out today, so
yeah.
if we blame him, maybe he'll just ditch out, so who should we blame? I don't know.
In that case, it's Quasar's fault. What the hell, Quasar?
Alright, I like that. Good stuff.
Alright, so apologies for the late start, everyone. But of course, we have had an epic journey to get here. We've had, what, 5 qualifiers?
Yeah.
The semi-finals. This is event number 6, I think. Yeah,
it's crazy.
Now that we're down to a small number of players, we are, of course, able to do some spicier formats. You can't really do a ban format with like 1,000 players. It just takes way too long. Now that we're down to 8, we are going to be doing a ban format today. The format's going to be each player bans a unit from their opponent before the round starts, and then if you lose, you get an additional ban. So unlike the previous ban format we did, where you would ban a unit for the entire series, now you are only banning your opponent from using that unit, so you can continue using it. Now, I'm interested to see how this develops. We might see some targeted bans. I think it's very likely that we see some like direct most powerful unit bans, because it only affects your opponent and not you. There's certainly more reason to simply ban whatever is the most powerful unit you can possibly think of. So yeah, you want to say hello, Jeffrey?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, no, like you said, this has been a culmination of several events that have led to this point. Here we are with the best of the best, right? Like, these guys have been fighting it out for the last, I don't know how many months that we've been running these tournaments, and here we are. So, like you said, we get to do some interesting things, so the band's going to be really interesting. And as you said, like, the thing about having this group of players together is they know each other, right? Like, there's no doubt that these players have played against each other at least several times. So they know kind of what to expect. So as you said, targeted bans are likely going to occur. I'm sure somebody's going to target somebody with a very specific unit that they play all the time just to avoid that from ever coming to be. And then that kind of changes things a lot, right? Like, the person with a good ban could potentially get enough of an advantage to overcome perhaps any sort of skill gap that might be present, right? That's certainly a possibility.
That's certainly the dream. That's what we're hoping to see today. Something like that. Oh, apologies, chat. I've killed Jeffrey.
Oh.
I was messing around on my second monitor and I covered Jeffrey's face. Apologies for that.
You know, a lot of people don't appreciate the challenge of operating OBS during a tournament. There's a finesse to it for sure.
It's such a grind. Okay, so today we're going to have, as well, I want to say we have 5 vanity, all going to viewers. We asked the players, and the players said they wanted cash monies. So, because it's been a grind to get here, everyone who is here is going to get some money. Now, admittedly, obviously, if you lose immediately, it's going to be less money. Because I believe this is a knockout tournament. So if you lose your first round, it's going to be less money, obviously. But everyone will be getting something. There will be money for everyone who is participating today, as long as they show up and play their first match, at least. If you guys want to donate to expand that prize pool, then follow the link here, the Buy Me a Coffee. By default, these donations are gonna go to this prize pool. So if you want to help out those poor guys who are losing round 1, maybe consider throwing a few dollars their way. Okay, so of course we are gonna have, as I said, 5 vanity for viewers. So I'm gonna start number 1 giveaway right now. We've got 5 to get through. So I'm going to hit that open, and it is raffle, !raffle. If you want to get the first vanity from the event. If you are playing, of course, you can still raffle. That's not a problem. But it is open to everyone. All right, so let's talk about the first match. First match, we're going to have Surpus taking on Ogre's Kagan. And our first bands, I've got the bands up here. I'll tell you what, it's a little awkward because it doesn't really fit well with the Legion graphic. But I've got my bands at the top here. We've got Serpus is going to be banning the... Oh, these are the wrong way around, apologies. Serpus is going to be banning the Jump Jet Trooper. Ogre's Kagan banning the Pitbull. So remember, these are one-sided bans. So you're only banning your opponent from using these units. You are still allowed to use them.
Yep, that's right.
Alright, but both players are in the game. We can in fact just fire it up and get the first game underway. So let's get right into it. We've got Ogre's Kagan versus Serpus. I'm going to be adding the bans to this screen as well.
New objective received.
You guys have up-to-date information on what has been banned.
Unit ready.
I guess the bans just resulted in GDI being unplayable.
I mean, it makes sense,
JJT
right?
ban doesn't do that, but well, yeah, like Pitbull ban is pretty strong. The JJT ban I think is a bit unusual. Maybe there's some specific deck that Serpus scouted out from Ogres that he's particularly concerned about. But yeah, pretty interesting choice from Serpus nonetheless. But yeah, either way, we're seeing a nod match for our first game.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense to, if you have lost a unit from one faction, to simply play the other, right?
Right.
Like your opponent has banned only Pitbull. Like, are you really gonna suit up with GDI if Pitbull is the only unit you can't play? Like, it's the best GDI unit. Why would you want to do that?
Right. Exactly. Well, okay, well, coming down to missile number 1 of our first game of the Ultimate Arena, and let's see who's going to get onto the pads and take first missile. It looks like Serpus is looking pretty good, but Ogre's going to move the Kemnagi down eventually. He's going to try and counter that top pad, but Serpus is in good position now. He should be able to stop Ogre from getting onto that top pad and can secure this first missile, and there it is. All right, Serpus just playing the pads, having better positioning, takes missile number 1.
What was really interesting there is, right at the end, Ogres did take down Serpus's last bike on the top pad, just before the missile fired, but because he pulled his Chuggy up to get the extra damage to do it faster, he didn't have anything on any pads anymore. So he actually did kill that bike in time, but then he had no contesting. Like, he just lost 1 pad to 0.
Yeah, that right. Like, he divided that Chem Buggy a little bit awkwardly, right? Like, he was trying to contest the bottom, which he did, but then he tried to move it up to get some extra damage on the bikes. And admittedly, Chem Buggy actually has really good vehicle damage. It has the same vehicle damage per second as Chem Warriors, and they have pretty good vehicle damage. So, not a terrible idea, but yeah, just didn't work out for him in the end. Yeah,
it's just like an awkward situation, right? Because you gotta, like, to kill the bike in time, you had to focus everything on it, but then you had nothing left holding a pad.
Alright, well, speaking of focus, here we are coming into missile number 2. Ogre's taking the pads a little bit more than Serpus here. There's a bit of focus on his harvesters. Now we're moving back to the pad. Serpus taking control, though. He's got double bikes on the far top and right pads. He's got Chem Buggy bikes coming in from behind. He's going to be able to block those lasers from getting on there, even with the boost isn't enough. There it is, Serpus being a monster, taking game number 1. Wow.
That was the pretty quick one there. Really, that game was just Chuggy bike from both sides, right? Like, they both played Chuggy Inferno decks, which makes sense. I think Chuggy Inferno is like the best deck in the game at the moment, and GDI both had bans, so makes sense. But yeah, like, it's a classic Chuggy game. Both players make rifles, both players make Chuggy, both players spam bikes, and the whole game just came down to bikes. It was literally just bike mirror. Because the infantry is just so irrelevant when the Chuggy rolls out. Like, both players I'm just playing bikes. That's it. I'm seeing fucking win with bikes. And it turns out Serpus was able to win with bikes.
Yeah, and it's not surprising when you get players of this caliber together because there's just so much action going on and so many trades happening that maybe both players just trade so well against each other that it ends up never getting to their end game, right? And that's kind of what happened, but it really just became a matter of, I'm just going to try to control the pads with these cheap units, and that was the game that it became. So, and yeah, Serpus just did that a little bit better than Ogres. Now, do you think Ogres really needed to hold out and wait for that Inferno to get on board to try and turn things around, or do you think he just tries to fight Serpus at the same game?
I think you can just fight the same game. There's no disadvantage to fighting bike versus bike, right? I mean, it just comes down to... I guess there's a case to be made that if you think, hey, Serpus is better than me, I don't want to just mirror match him. I don't want to play bike versus bike because he's just going to beat me. He's better than I am.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough.
Then maybe you need to switch it up. You need to do something else. In which case, yeah, probably going for the Inferno is the best thing. Serpus was playing the classic, like, Serpus Chuggy Inferno deck as well, which is not super surprising. And that deck has only Stealth Tank as a good answer to Inferno. So I think Inferno is favored in that matchup. So if you can turn it into an Inferno game plan, then Surplus continues playing on the ground. Then that's like a legitimate strategy, I think.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, it would take him a long time to get there anyway, so yeah, it may not have worked out at all. And then at least he'd have a fighting chance trying to overcome the Bikeneer somehow. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
So we do have ban number 2 from Ogres, and it is going to be the Chemical Buggy. No surprises there. Probably personally, I think it's the most powerful unit in the game. So I think it makes a lot of sense to ban Chemical Buggy. Now what's interesting here is that Surplus knows Chemical Buggy is banned for him and not for Ogres. So does he assume that Ogres is going to bring a Chemical Buggy deck, thinking I have an advantage that I can bring Chemical Buggy and he can't? If that's the case, like, you can bring decks that beat Chemical Buggy. Chemical Buggy is the strongest unit in the game, in my opinion, but it doesn't just win the game on its own every single time. Like, you can bring tank decks. Like, you can bring, like, a tank Kane deck or something that's good against Chemical Buggy.
For sure you could. Yeah, or play Chems, for example.
Yeah, exactly. Like Chem Tank smashes Chemical Buggy decks because the Chems are effectively immune to Chemical Buggy. So yeah, like, exactly. do you think to yourself, this guy's gonna bring Chemical Buggy now? Like, he played Chemical Buggy last game, and now I can't play Chemical Buggy, so he can't even mirror him. Maybe he thinks it's a massive advantage. So you just bring a deck that hard counters a Chemical Buggy deck? I don't know. I think that'd be legit. And then the next level of Yomi here for Ogres is to go, he thinks I'm going to bring a Chemical Buggy deck, so he wants to bring a tank deck, so I'm going to bring a Giga Chemical Buggy deck. And then you play Giga against his tank deck. That's I think, a legitimate strategy here. But I don't know if that's what we're going to see. I mean, we're on Broken Mesa. Okay, I wouldn't want to bring Giga to Broken Mesa, so...
Yeah, agreed. Well, why don't we find out what they have brought and jump into the game?
Let's do it.
Establishing battlefield control.
Okay, well, bit of a change up here. We got Ogres bringing out GDI, and Surplus sticking with Nod. He has decided that a Ken Buggy ban hasn't been quite enough to knock Nod out of his choices, so let's see what he's brought. All right, well, he switched over to Chem Warriors, which, not that big of a surprise. I guess the Ken Buggy having Raider, though, is just such a big tool to have, especially for a deck like this, and it does change how his buildings function, so the deck definitely has fundamentally changed in some ways. And then Ogres here playing Predator Razorback, which pretty interesting. He doesn't have a Hammerhead to deal with the Infernos, so but the stealth tank could be a problem for that.
Yeah, interesting to see that Surplus, it looks like he did think his opponent was going to bring... Well, I mean, Chem Warriors is a really good choice if you think your opponent's going to bring Chem Buggy, but he didn't bring a tank, so I don't know if he thought that Ogres was going to bring a Chem Buggy, or if he's just trying to replace Chem Buggy as best as he feels like he can. Maybe he's like, this is the best replacement. But Ogres has gone completely the other way and just playing GDI, so... I mean, it used to be that Razorback would be a great counter to a Chem Warrior deck, but I don't know if that's the case anymore with Razorback so nerfed.
Well, looking pretty good here for Ogres. He's got those riflemen up on the top left. He's got the missiles blocking the lasers on the bottom right. We got Chem Warriors boosted, gonna clear them up, and oh, look at that, gets on the pad. Oh, not quick enough though. Ogres just steals that missile by a hair. Oh, you love to see that happen. Crazy.
Very, very close there. Ogres, I think, like, nice play to get that missile. I think he should have had it. I think it shouldn't have been quite so close. I think he like missed a block on the middle that would have secured it. I think that he was trying to block on the bottom right, but that guy was dead, right? Like, that guy's always dying. So I think it made more sense to try and hold the middle there, but he gets there either way. Like, very nice play. He identified that he was not able to defeat the Chem Warrior first missile, so he just wanted to find a way to ignore it.
Yep. Makes perfect sense. I mean, they're beefy. They got tons of hit points, and clearing him first missile, usually not an easy feat. So, yeah, smart play there from Ogres. And, well, Surplus now coming out with his heavy hitter. We got the Inferno coming out. He's got it on the middle pad, but Ogres seeing it now is able to respond with this Hammerhead. And with the Razorback coming in behind, that should help clear out those lasers to stop them from getting at the Hammerhead. But the bikes are coming out too. However, now we're coming down to missile number 2. Can Ogres clear it out? He's in a pretty good spot with his full health Hammerhead. He's going to be able to clear out the hammer in one more shot. There it goes. He's got a block on the bikes with the militants. The boosted bikes do get onto the pad, and now with all 3 pads taken, it's not looking too good. Can the Razorback make it in time? Doesn't look like it, and no. Unfortunate there. Surplus does make it back into the game, played the pads just a little bit better like we saw in game number 1, and we're going into missile number 3.
Yeah, great choice to immediately Hammerhead in response to the Inferno, and then follow up with Razorback was also a great choice, because you know Surplus is going to be trying to protect with missiles. But then he went rifle, which I think was a mistake. He needed something. He needed to then go missiles afterwards. Once he's got the Razorback and the Hammerhead, he's gonna clear the lasers and the Inferno. So then you need something to clear the incoming things that counter those, which are gonna be bites.
Unit lost. Unit ready.
Well, and looking pretty good here for Serpus now with the stealth tank coming out. He's able to survive the Inferno, but a second Hammerhead coming out here for Oguz. The missile about to fire. This is where it all happens. He gets the lasers onto the pad. Predator tank without the block. He just needs to get onto the top of the pad. He's moving those riflemen up there. Nice clearing of the Inferno as well. Predator tank moving up to the down to the bottom pad, and he's got all three. Can Oguz do it? Yes, he can. There it is, coming back in game number 2, bringing this series to 1-1.
Very solid play from Oguz there. Really just right at the end of that game, there was a stank that was positioned perfectly to. Oh, we lost Jeffrey's camera. There was a stank positioned perfectly to take out that hammerhead that was coming in, but he sniped it with the tank, like perfect timing, which meant that the stealth tank was no longer in play. The Predator like sniped the stealth tank. Which meant the Hammerhead was still alive to finish off the Inferno, which then secured him the third missile. So yeah, really solid play there from Oguz. Very nice to see that.
That was very good, yeah.
A little bit... Oh, I mean, like, this is the kind of situation where there isn't much luck in Rivals, but a little bit lucky. A little bit lucky. That stealth tank was about to kill that Hammerhead, which would have meant the Inferno lives, and then the Predator was, like, already charging to hit something, and he, like, retargets and gets the shot off right before the stealth tank fires. So yeah, very nice stuff there.
Yeah, they're definitely, like, that match, yeah, timing is, like, the characteristic of that match, because even the first missile, how close it was, and then how everything turned out at the end, like, it really was just all about timing. Because as you said, like, if that Predator tank doesn't clear the stealth tank, then that stealth tank might get a volley off, and clearing a Razorback would be a big beating, because then the Hammerhead might not live long enough. You know, there was a lot of things going on there where it all just sort of culminated towards one point, and Oguz just managed to take care of that. So, yeah, it worked out well for him. But overall, like, a really interesting game between these two players. Serpus clearly has an advantage when it comes to playing the pads, but Oguz has a good way of pivoting, and that's kind of the thing that he did well there. Like the Hammerhead versus the Inferno, as you said, was just a great change-up for him in that game.
Yeah. So we have the next ban from Serpus. It is going to be Pitbull, which makes a lot of sense. Kind of surprised he didn't just start with a Pitbull ban. I'm still leaning a little bit towards maybe he didn't realize it was one-sided bans, so he didn't want to ban Pitbull because he wanted to play it.
Oh,
I'm not
maybe.
Sure. I'm not sure. Like, because I don't know why he'd ever ban Jump Jet troops. You know, like Pitbull is so much better.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I agree, because I was thinking about the jump jet ban, and I thought, how does that make any sense? But if you take it from the angle of he thought that means he wouldn't play it as well, then yeah, I mean, jump jets are, well, even then, I guess what other choices would you make? I don't know. Either way, that would make sense if that was the case.
Yeah. I just want to very quickly, like, we're going to start the game in a second here, but I do feel like we should show everyone the code, because it is a great code. We do have the code. Fantastic. Yeah.
Right. Every once in a while you get a good one. This is a great one. It's a banger.
All right, so I think we are actually ready to start as well. So if Kenny wants to.
Yeah, we are.
Here we go.
3, 2, 1. New mission received.
So let's see what we've got here with the bans of Pitbull on both sides. Both players playing Nod. No surprise there. Pitbull, of course, the best GDI unit. I don't think there's any debate there. Serpus playing the same deck again. Oguz, he brought the Giga Chuggy, which I quite like. I think that's pretty reasonable. Although given that Serpus played Chems, maybe you shouldn't even try and bring Chuggy. I'm not sure.
His will moves with us.
Yeah, that is interesting, right? Like, we were talking about how Chem Buggy is worse versus Chems, and we're going to see that take place here. Plus, he's playing Giga versus the Inferno. It is on hold the line, though. I mean, if he plants a Giga up on that top pad and it protects it really well with some lasers and a Phantom to come in from behind, then maybe the Inferno just never gets at the Giga. It really depends on how well he plays it, I guess.
Advancing.
Yeah, so I don't really like two-range units on this map that much. I think this map is deceptively poor for two-range units. It looks like it should be great, but actually once you play it a bit, you realise it's not as good as you thought it was. So I'm interested to see if the Giga ends up actually being good. We don't even see a Giga yet from Oguz, and his first missile is going to go down with no Giga, which is a big problem for him.
Yeah, it's looking that way. That Kemba on the middle
Ooh.
pad is going to go down. He does get the bikes on, though. Not missing or getting the block from Surface. Nicely done. He is going to have trouble getting onto this middle pad there. He tries to switch up the lasers, but those Kemba warriors coming in from behind are just going to mow them down. And Surface securing that middle pad, that gives him missile number 1.
Major structural damage received. Unit offline. Unit offline.
Right, so Kenny has pointed out to me that I have put the bans in the side of the person who did the ban, but I guess that's a little confusing. It's probably better if we reverse it so it shows who has what banned from them. So we are gonna swap those around.
Okay. That's a good idea. Well, okay, so Surface bringing out the Inferno. This is exactly what Ogas should be worried about, as he's got that that Giga in place, but it's at the bottom of the map, so a bit of an awkward position for it, as it's not really going to get as much value as it could have on the top pad. Of course, does leave it a little bit more open at the top there, as it's able to plant it right by the missile silo and contest that entire pad. So here he is, he moves it up right by the missile silo. The Inferno shoots the bikes, so the Giga's still going to live to see another day, but what's really important here, of course, isn't that, it's going to be the pads, and so far Surface looking pretty good. The Inferno reload, clearing another set of bikes, just doing a very good job of denying area and getting control of the map. He switches around the Inferno, moving the lasers onto that middle pad. No blocks from Ogas as well, trying to get the bikes on the pad, but they're going to go down to the flames and the laser. Wow, that was just not enough there for him. The Giga trying to clear up these lasers, but it's not looking too good. The Inferno just manages to lock onto that chem buggy, and that gives Surface missile number 2 and game number 2.
I think, yeah, finals best of 7, so if Surface wins this one, he has taken the series. If Ogas wins, he will go to a tiebreaker.
Building online.
Well, interesting deck choice here from Surface. I was wondering what he was going to bring, and now the Pitbull ban becomes quite relevant because, yeah, GDI just gets a whole lot worse, but he's decided to use Talon as his heavy anti-air instead of bringing just straight-up Hammerhead, which I'm surprised by. I thought Hammerhead might be a better replacement, but Talon's more flexible, so I can certainly see the reason why you would bring it. And Ogas here sticking with Giga, so Surface actually making a pretty good call on that front.
Yeah, surprising to see Giga again. I mean, Giga's just so powerful. I guess a lot of people like Giga, but this is another map where I think Giga is not actually that strong. It's okay, but it's not as good as it is on other maps. That's for sure.
Unit ready.
Yeah, a map like this where the 3 pads are so far apart, I agree. Like, where do you put the Giga? I mean, you can place it between 2 pads, and then, yeah, sure, it covers the top left and bottom, but then it's off of the pad. Plus,
Yep.
it's wide open there. You don't really have a lot of coverage, so it's a lot harder to block it and, you know, make sure that it works. So, yeah, I gotta agree. I think this is not a very good map for it.
The
Alright,
Ogas
well,
does have that Chuggy, but of course Surface has now gone for the tank deck as predicted. It's a great answer to Chuggy. But Ogas, as you were saying, has the option of that Giga. A great answer to Predator decks. Surface trying to use Borka to counter the Giga. I mean, Borka's not great anymore, but it can force a Giga back. You know, it can kill a Giga, so it's definitely an out.
Yeah, the big difference with the Orca Bomber, I think, is like towards the end of a missile, it can be a problem, right? Because if the timing's good enough, it still clears, like it still denies area enough that essentially it might flip a pad, but it's real hard to pull that out. The only thing is Ogas doesn't have any beefy units that might survive against Orca just bombing like that, so I think that might be the one way Surface could play it. And knowing him, he might pull that off. He is a pretty well practiced Orca Bomber player, but having said that, I mean, this is match point. It's looking quite good here for Surface. It's all about the pads, though. We got that Predator tank on the far left. Giga's about to go down. Orca Bomber here is just going to clear that bottom pad. The bikes do make it on there, and they're going to come in from behind on the Orca Bomber. Does actually clear them with that single bomb, absolutely savaging there on that bottom pad. Very important as well, as now with the top left pad clear, the bikes going down. The stealth tank's not going to do a diddly squat. Surface takes it. Game number 4, winning match number 3 for him and taking the series.
Yeah, and of course that was a pretty classic showing from Surface there. Pretty standard fare. Pretty good example of why Giga not actually that amazing on that map. Like, it was really awkward. He didn't know where to put it. When he did finally move it up, it just got flanked by Predators and killed instantly. So I think Surface had a good choice of deck for that one.
I agree.
He had predicted accurately that his opponent was going to be Chuggy, and he wanted to be a Predator shop deck. So can't really argue with that result. Very nice choice from him there. Alright, so
yeah,
up next
like
we're
you
gonna
said, this is
have...
knockout, right?
Yep, that's it. Ogres is knocked out, unfortunately for him. Our next match, we're going to have Victor Bantama versus Natural Sky. We're just waiting for the first bans on those.
All right.
Our first map is going to be Fighting Pit, which is, of course,
Excellent.
a great 2-range map. Could see some spicy decks here. Like, this is a... Apparently, Natsky trained for this. What a try-hard nerd.
Yeah, he has been. Yep.
This is a this is a map where we could see like some weird decks like No Half MG.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know if there's like a specific unit you can ban that makes No Half MG really good. Maybe Inferno. That feels like the thing that absolutely smashes No Half MG.
There's so many things though,
Yeah.
like chemical buggy. Even a boosted buggy would be a problem. Seth, let's see. I can name off a whole bunch of other things, you know. I mean, but Inferno would be a pretty big beating, I guess. I just think there's too many other options, right? But hey, you never know. Maybe.
Chemical buggy you can beat by just having enough MGs, right? If you stack like 40 MGs, you beat Chemical Buggy.
Yeah,
That's been my
true,
experience
true.
anyway. Inferno is the unit that the No Half MG deck can absolutely never beat in a million years, has been my experience.
Yeah. Yeah, Inferno is just an auto loss, pretty
Yeah.
much. I mean, not completely, but it's just you're so disadvantaged that it pretty much is.
Alright, so here we have it. Our first bans. It is going to be... Victor is going to ban the Pitbull, so Natsky cannot play Pitbull. Natsky is going to ban Bike Squadron. So, as I was saying before, I think this makes a lot of sense. You're just banning the most powerful units, basically. Like, Bikes and Pitbull are the two best units in the game, arguably. Like, the most functional units, I should say. Because I believe the Chemical Buggy is the actual best unit. But you can build, like, there are other things you can do. Whereas all decks play Bikes and Pitbull pretty much. So, I think it makes sense to go for a Bikes and Pitbull ban. That's a pretty sensible way to go. What's interesting now is, are we going to see Natsky just definitely bring Nod and Victor definitely bring GDI? Because I don't want to play Nod without Bikes. Like, that's pretty rough.
There's so many things to consider, right? Because of course you got to consider Victor and you got to consider Natural Sky and what decks they play, and then you have to factor in how do those bans affect the decks that they play a lot of, right? Because obviously that's what you're targeting, I think. I mean, you're trying to avoid them from playing their most practiced decks. You want to try and have them bring something that they're not quite as good with, because that brings down their potential skill. So I don't know. I think to me it really does depend strongly on how they're going to take advantage of these bans. Like that's the thing. You can make these bans, but then you also have to take advantage of it at the same time. So I guess that's the question, right? We'll see what kind of decks they brought.
Yep. And I'd like to also point out that Natsky is in Platinum League, so.
Okay. Well,
Let's,
he's got a lot of work to do.
We're ready for game number 1. Victor versus Natsky.
Establishing battlefield control.
Yeah, so Natsky, as I said, is a Platinum League player. So let's see if
2,
Victor can defeat a Platinum League player. He's rank 8 GDI.
Building online. Unit ready.
All right, well, just like you said, they've decided to just switch factions around. No Bikes? Well, I'll just play GDI. No Pitbull, I'll play Nod. Okay, so that's exactly what's going on here. Interesting decks from both players. Victor bringing this Grenadier Slingshot Razorback Pitbull deck. So against an Inferno deck, that could be a problem, because of course Slingshot can do the job, but I think Pitbull is actually probably a better choice overall. Like, you're more flexible with it. You have a higher skill ceiling with the unit. I feel like Pitbull is just a lot better in this matchup. Slingshot might be a problem, though, on a map like this where the missile silos in the middle centered around 3 pads. So I guess there are ways for Slingshot to work really well. I don't know. I think Natural Sky is a very smart player, though, so that's the thing. I think Pitbull might be the better choice, but what do you make of this matchup, Blake?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little surprised to see, as you say, a Pitbull Slingshot. Like, you'd only expect the Pitbull to be like a Mohawk here. But yeah, I mean, this matchup seems to me like it should go Natsky's way. I personally am not a believer in the Gren as an anti-chuggy unit. And I think that Pitbull Laser loses pretty... Pitbull loses pretty badly to Chuggy Laser.
Oh, the split shot on that stealth tank didn't quite clear one of the units, but thankfully, Natural Sky playing the pads very well, moved his chemical buggy from the bottom right to the left, and that allowed him to take all 3 pads, which allowed him to secure that first missile. But yeah, that was really smart micro there from Victor to move his Razorback out of the way from the stealth tank, and he managed to split the shots between the Pitbull and the Razorback, so almost nearly took it, but Natural Sky does come out on top.
Yeah, no, I'm interested to see if we just see the classic, like, I'm going to make some Grens and I'm going to spam Razorbacks, because that is a strategy I've seen a few people employ, and it is quite powerful. Like, it's quite difficult to kill Grens with Chuggy if you can't tank them first. Like, usually you want to send in, like, a laser to tank and then kill it with the Chuggy. Just driving straight in is awkward for the Chuggy.
Okay, well, that Pitbull gets absolutely demolished by that Inferno, and the Flame Hex is being relevant here, allowing those Grenadiers to take a bit of damage, and now we got the Pitbull booster going to not clear that Inferno very quickly. He takes a shot onto the Chem Buggy, but without 3 pads at all taken there. Natural Sky managed to come back. There it is, missile number 2 and game number 1. Very strong game there.
Yeah, I mean, that is, as I've said a few times, I believe that's just the best deck in the game. Inferno Chuggy, the Surplus Inferno Chuggy deck is just the best deck in the game. I think it is.
It covers everything, right?
If you haven't had a unit banned from your if you haven't had a unit banned from your what's the word I'm looking for here? From your choices, if you haven't had a unit banned from that deck, I think you should be bringing that deck game 1 almost every time. There are a few bad matchups for it, but overall, I think it is like the most consistent and powerful deck in the game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a skill component involved. Like, Inferno is not the easiest unit to use, and it has a very heavy payload. It's just that type of unit where if you don't play well enough, kind of like Solomon in a way, that if you lose enough of them, it's just going to lose you the game. So obviously you do have to have a level of skill to be able to make it work well. And if you can, then yeah, I think I agree. I think Inferno probably is the best all-around deck, just because the Inferno on its own carries so much of the load, and then lasers on top of that being so efficient and cheap, which also further helps you get to Inferno. Those things can together, and then Chemical Buggy being so disgusting. I mean, yeah, it's just it has to be the best, right? Like, it just makes use of really the best combination of nods and units. So Giga Cannon would be probably the second best, but I still don't think it's as good as Inferno is in terms of just usability and power. So
yeah, so obviously Victor has gone for the bike ban. I was surprised this wasn't what just happened last time. I feel like banning Bike Pitbull is a pretty natural place to start. But those are the two ways to most mess with your opponent's decks, is just to ban bikes and pitbulls. So I wouldn't be surprised if this happens a lot, where we just see Bike Pitbull as the initial 2 bans in almost every series. We might see Chuggy occasionally, but yeah, I think Bike Pitbull's going to be very popular bans today.
I think so too. It puts the biggest dent in the largest amount of decks.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like clearly the best first target you should take. So yeah. I agree. We're likely to see that a lot. The interesting point is going to be like when we get down to the end of the series, and you know it's like 2-2, and then all of a sudden one person is going to get an extra ban over the other person, and that might just be the dictator. You know, like that's where things are going to get interesting. So, but still, even then, like it is nice to see that this game's going to change up so much, because when you get the best players together, one of the things you do want to see is a bit of change up in terms of who's going to come out on top. And with this, it's really hard to actually say or like even think about how the outcome of this is going to go. So yeah, really exciting stuff. All right, well, I think our players are ready, Blade, so whenever you're ready, I'm ready.
All right, yeah, looks like we're ready to go.
Establishing battlefield control.
Okay, well, a bit of a change up here. Victor going with Strong Arm instead of Jackson. We'll see what kind of a deck has he brought. Not Suzaku APC, but okay, something kind of like that. Not really, though. So he's just playing a pretty standard GDI deck. On Broken Mesa, he's brought Strong Arm, which I guess the turret does have a good location on the middle pad there. You can place it on the bottom right or bottom left, and that's a pretty good location for it. But Natural Sky has decided without bikes, he's going to rely on a Buggy instead. And actually, not a terrible idea. I suppose this is probably the second best deck at this point. Would you agree?
Yeah, I like the Buggy Inferno deck. I think that's a reasonable place to go when bikes are banned. It's still like a legitimate deck. It's a lot worse than it used to be, but like the biggest issue is the prevalence of tanks. Victor didn't bring a tank. I think Nat Sky has like looked at Victor's decks a fair bit as well, and probably anticipated a deck like this from Victor here. Knowing that your opponent's not going to bring tank makes Buggy a lot better.
Capacitors on the move.
For sure. Yeah, and I mean, Buggy, if you put it onto a pad, it's going to contest Talons. Orcas, you know, obviously are going to be his main tool against them, especially the tanks. But yeah, like you said, without tanks there, Buggy gets a heck of a lot better. And so far, that's looking pretty good here for Natural Sky. He's got that middle pad pretty well locked down. He's got a Buggy coming in with a tank. He's going to use that combined arm to deal with everything that Victor's got. He's not going to have an easy time getting to that Orca, as his money just isn't there. And Pipple gets onto the top left, stalling the pad just a little bit longer. But that Pipple almost down. However, the Buggy just went down, and now the missiles there are going to take some shots against the tank. Lasers going to sit there from behind. Natural Sky going to try to move up onto that top pad, boosting the lasers as well. Might be just enough, but of course, Victor being a smart player as well to contest the bottom pad. And now we got the lasers blocking the shocks, and is it going to be enough? It looks like it is, and there we go. All right, Natural Sky playing the pads very well, using those lasers as a good blocking tool, and coming on top, missile number 1.
Unit ready.
Natural Sky doing a great job here. Pretty clean first game win, taking down this first missile as well. Just looking strong all around. The tank is so good in this matchup as well. Like, Victor needs to get to Orcas to start fighting these tanks, but until he gets there, he's not going to beat Tank. Like, Tank is going to continue to crush him. Like, Tank Buggy is going to beat his deck until he gets to Orca.
Well, and we see Victor falling into a bit of a fallacy here. Like, he's really trying to use pit bulls with their skill ceiling to overcome the tanks, but it's just not going to work. And here we go. First Orca coming out. This is exactly what Victor needs to be doing. So clearing out that Buggy could be a huge problem for Natural Sky, because now, in order to shut down air, he's going to have to switch to Phantom. And here it is. He did have enough money, though, to get there, so maybe not that big of a deal, as he clearing out that first Talon could be a big problem. But Orca now getting a couple shots off, but retargeting onto that little lone rifleman. Now finally clearing it, getting the tank out of the way, and that could be very important as we are moving into missile number 2. And Natural Sky looking for victory here. Can he come on top and win the second missile and come out in game number 2?
Here we see another Talon from Victor. Talon actually one of the hardest units for Nod to beat if you don't have bikes. Talon spam is not really beatable with lasers or Phantom, so Victor could theoretically just make a lot of Talons.
That's a good point. Yeah, Talon spam, I mean, they cost 30 each. Phantom costs 100. 3 Talons against a single Phantom is actually a bit of a problem, because even though with Talon's lower movement speed, just having attrition is enough to overcome Phantom, because there's only so many places the Phantom can go, and yeah, it makes it a lot easier to shut that down, so you could be right.
Surprised we haven't seen another tank from that guy here. Victor kind of taking over the game with pit bulls, and obviously tank is the best counter to that.
Yeah, I mean, Shock Pitbull is a pretty strong combination, especially against an Inferno deck. It's cheap, it'll shut down the lasers pretty quickly. Natural Sky is going to have a bit of a problem targeting these Shocks or the Pitbulls, so yeah, you could be right. And, you know, a tank here would be really good, because it would just shut down the Pitbulls, and that's exactly what he needs to deal with. So here we go, Phantom coming out, it's going to get rid of that Orca. He's going to try and chase it off, though. There we go, getting onto the pad. Inferno almost fully reloaded as well, and that could be pretty meaningful as we're coming into the third missile of this exciting game number 2. All right, Natural Sky with the lasers planted on the bottom. Inferno clearing up that Pitbull, and Phantom on the left. There we go. Natural Sky missile number 3 and game number 2.
Let me just add the new ban. I really don't know.
New mission received.
I think it's this one. Yeah, there we go. So we are going to see Nod from that Sky, no surprises. Interestingly enough, so that Sky actually changed his Inferno to a Venom. That's a weird choice. And Victor has decided to bring the deck Natsky just brought. That made the Predator ban makes no sense here. Maybe the Predator ban was trying to bait Natsky into something.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, because, like, I guess from Victor's point of view, I think Inferno makes a heck of a lot of sense, actually. Especially what he just saw. I mean, Victor's a very good Inferno player, so I think from Natural Sky's point of view, you've got to come to expect that, but he hasn't really brought something like this. He's brought Kane, so I'm not too sure, but okay, well, here we go. Missile number 1 coming down. We got that Buggy on the middle pad. It's going to clear up those militants, and that means he's going to take over the pad. So Victor now getting on top of that middle pad. He's got the missile charging in his favor, and there it is, missile number 1. A pretty comfortable missile for him as well. Yeah, again, back to the decks. Like, I'm not too sure what game plan Natural Sky's got in mind, or what he was expecting Victor to play, but he is not going to be happy when he sees Inferno, that's for sure.
Yeah, like, he's brought this Kane and this Venom, which makes me think that maybe he expected Victor to bring Predator plus an answer to Inferno, and he's trying to, like, play around that, and Victor's just gone, nah, man, I'm not going to do that, I'm just going to do a completely different thing.
Yeah, might be thinking a little bit too much, maybe. Well, you know what? Who knows? I mean, it's still an interesting deck nonetheless. I mean, it can win in the game. He's got Phantom to deal with the Inferno, but that's all he's got. The Buggy's certainly not going to be a good tool for him because there's tanks from both sides. The Tane Tower is pretty much not going to be useful for him, but who knows? Maybe he clears a tank towards the end of a first missile. It is pretty decent on this map, so that could be potentially a useful tool for him. But, yeah, I mean, look at this so far. Natural Sky looking pretty good here, actually. I mean, both players really haven't been able to get a huge advantage over the other, but economies are pretty well even keel. So, yeah, so far another player making a big push here, but Natural Sky is the one who really wants to win this. Of course, Victor's at match point, so if he loses this, he's out, and he's going to be fighting real hard. But here we go. So Natural Sky with the top 2 pads. Got a nice pad flip here from Victor, taking both the top 2 pads.
Very nice.
This is number 2.
Very nice play from Victor there. Very well timed Phantom, right exactly when he needed it to clear that top pad, and that Sky just could not recover in time from the Phantom coming out and deleting that unit.
Establishing battlefield control.
Right, so it is going to be a nod mirror. Looks like Victor's going to be bringing that Inferno since he's playing Roxana. Interesting to see Seth. You don't see a lot of Seth these days. I'll tell you what's also interesting. No one's banned or played Chuggy yet.
True, you're right. Actually, yeah, that's funny, right? Like, we're seeing everything but. It's almost like it's been pseudo-banned.
Well, I think actually Natsky might have played it game 1. Yeah, I think Natsky played the Inferno Chuggy game 1. But, like, is it like once the bikes and the pit bulls were banned, neither player really wanted to play a Chuggy deck anymore. Like, everyone just wanted to play tanks.
Right. Well, I mean, look at this. This is a very, very unusual deck Natural Sky has brought. First of all, he's picked Seth, and he's brought Shade as well. Like, I mean, Oksana, there's so many good targets in that deck, but I guess the advantage with Seth is that you can just take a pad at the end of the missile, and Victor really doesn't have anything that'll shut down flames very quickly, so he's got Buggy and Militants, and that's about it. He doesn't have his own flames or Can Buggy or something like that, so Seth's Hero Pod actually could be very strong. The other thing is, Natural Sky has his own Shade, so he does have a tool to deal with the Giga Cannon, and Giga Cannon, as we saw previously, just isn't that great on a map like this. So I gotta say, I actually kind of like Natural Sky's idea, but I don't know. I'm not sure what Victor was thinking bring the Giga. I really thought he was going to bring the Inferno.
Yeah, I'm surprised as well. Like Giga Shade as well. It's a weird deck.
It is weird, yeah.
And that guy's going for the triple air, which is also kind of weird. Here comes the Seth though. First missile trying to beat Seth. Absolute nightmare.
There's no way this is going to work out for him. Natural Sky looking quite strong here. Of course, the Shade does get on that left pad, but, well, I mean, those lasers went down very quickly on bottom pad, so Natural Sky very clearly is going to take that first missile, and well done to him.
I like these Shades just sort of standing next to each other, both stealth, not doing anything.
Some shady activity if I've ever seen it.
Victor going for the Harvester with his Shade just to find something to do, but it's so inefficient against Harvesters.
It really is, isn't it? It's kind of sad.
Yeah, it's like
how much damage it does.
4 volleys or something to kill a Harvester.
Which, you know what, I mean, Nod's got enough anti-harvester tools. They probably didn't need another one, so that's probably not the worst thing.
Yeah, and Shade is kind of OP as well. Like, I mean, maybe not anymore, but it's been OP. It was OP for a very long time. I don't think it really needs any help.
Yeah, it's in a pretty good spot right now, I would say. Well, okay, a lot of action going back and forth between these two players. Again, you know, this is kind of what you expect when you get players of this caliber together. You look at the economy, it's identical right now. Like, this is just a good characteristic of how this match has gone. And look at this, and an exact mirror happening in the middle of the map. Can you get any more symmetrical than that? Of course, there was a Buggy there, but, you know, it looked pretty nice. Anyway, so it's looking actually pretty good here for Victor. He's starting to overcome. He's got his own Phantom out. He cleared the Phantom from Natural Sky, which is a huge deal. Of course, maintaining the value of your own Phantom is a big deal. He's now got the Buggy on the left pad. Shade coming out as well, but the Phantom's not reloaded in time. Setro going to get onto the pad, but he needs to get on the far right and the middle. Can he get there? Oh, it's going to be a flip. Hold on a minute. Can the Buggy go down? No, the boosted Buggy takes care of business. Buggy and a gun. There it is, missile number 2. Victor making his way back in. Well done.
Yeah, very nice play from Victor there. Could have definitely gone to Natsky. That would have been the series. But Victor really bringing it back here. I think Natsky hurting some of those bans a lot more than Victor is. Victor doesn't seem like he's that fussed. He's still holding it together. I think Natsky is definitely feeling the loss of those bikes.
Just a bit, yeah. Like, bikes here would help him out in so many ways. Like, the Phantom not going down very quickly is a big problem because Natural Sky really does have to rely on his own Phantom. And, of course, Shade being, having Shade, or, he, you know, being able to cloak, means that the Phantom can't shoot at it, but he does have to be careful not to hit any infantry, otherwise it'll lose its cloak and then bye Shade. So, yeah, and looking pretty good here as well. We've got the Giga Cannon boosted on that middle section. Seth Tripod coming down to clear out the lasers, but with the Giga fully boosted, it's actually going to chew through them. And Buggy coming in as well just to secure that. So the Giga just really not doing much. That was 70 tip, pretty much down the drain for Natural Sky. And also timing-wise, it may not be ready for him towards the end of the missiles. So I'm not so sure about that. Yeah, I'm not so sure. Where does Natural Sky go from here, I guess?
I think Nat Sky's kind of in trouble because Victor has identified that this Phantom with a Giga is so difficult for Nat Sky to break.
And that's exactly the case. See, the Shade goes down to the Phantom there without keeping its cloak. He had to try and take a pad, but that's all he could do. He's got his own Phantom. Now it's going to fully reload, getting a full volley off against it. That's actually huge. Can he overcome this? Can he get the block against the Phantom? No, the Phantom just makes it on to the pads. Of course, the other Phantom was still at full health, so it didn't lose the one volley. And now we're going to try and see these Revelmen get on their central coming down. Does actually manage to be ready in time. So there's a lot of stall on the clock, but again, Victor with the Phantom value just overcoming this. Natural Sky not being able to use his 3 air units, which is exactly what he needs to try and just take pads and win this. And that Giga Cannon doing a little dance of its life on the far left. We've got the flames coming on though. A little bit of a flip from Natural Sky. Can he secure the middle pad and take this? Oh, there it is! Wow!
Wow, what a game.
Wow!
What a game.
That was insane. Absolutely. Wow. So
What a
close. Holy cow.
What's really crazy there is Nat Sky, like Victor chose to kill the buggy on the middle instead of flying over it to contest the pad. And because he did that, the fresh buggy moved on just in time to fire the missile before his Shade could get onto the pad. If he'd flown over, then he could have, he would have taken more damage on his Shade, but he could have killed one of the buggies and bought time. Oof.
Yeah, I was wondering about
Very
that.
close. Alright, I think we are ready to start.
Establishing battlefield control.
Alright, so Maximus versus Taran, here we go.
3, 2, 1. New mission received.
Okay, well, and you know what? I'm not surprised Maximus has decided to play GDI. In fact, seeing him play Strong Arms, not that unexpected. But the deck itself is actually quite similar to a deck that Victor brought in against the series of Natural Sky. But here on Fighting Pit, I don't know. Is Strong Arm really going to be that good? I guess because you can place the turret on the top pad, it still has a decent place, but that's it. I mean, you can still
No,
just
man.
kind of walk away from that on anywhere else on the map,
the
right?
far tile across the top pad is an insanely good strong arm position.
But that's the only one on this map, right?
It is. There is only one place you can put. There is basically one place you can put strong arm. Yeah, but it's a very good spot.
Good, though, you're right.
It's like if you think about Bullseye, where you can put it right in the middle. There's only really one spot you can put it on that map as well, but it's so good on that spot that it's fine. It's still a good commander on the map.
That's a good point. Okay, well, looking pretty good here for Maximus. He's got the dogs on the middle pad. Of course, they are going to go down to the tank, so seeing that, Taran actually gets a buggy onto the pad as well. Maximus throwing more jump jets, but of course, the Flame Trooper is going to shut that down pretty quickly. Even the buggy is going to contest them pretty decently, especially with the tank to support. As we see there, the jump jets just go down. They melt due to their low hit points, and, well, Taran very expertly flips the pads over in his favor and takes missile number 1.
Yeah, and Taran playing the buggy tank. The buggy tank just smashes Maximus's deck first missile. Like, he has to play Orca. He has to play Orca to beat the buggy tank. I'm interested that, Taran went, Wheels, and then Maximus had Pitbull. So then Taran was able to immediately go tank. Maximus went for Jump Jet. I think he should have gone Orca instead.
Yep, I agree.
Like, with bikes banned, Orca is insanely good. So I think he should have just gone Orca instead of Barracks.
Yeah, like Orca gives him more of an edge than Jump Jets. The Jump Jets die to tank shots. They died all kinds of things, and also there were flames on the pads already. So I completely agree with you. Well, he does have an Orca out now, so we'll see if that actually flips it over for him. But we see Taran moving his units around, taking all 3 pads. The Jump Jets try to get onto that far left, but the Orca's not really doing enough of anything. Stealth Tank contesting it back, and yeah, Taran takes missile number 2 in the first game.
Yeah, pretty dominant there. The tank, man, the tank just crushed his deck. He got pooped on by tank. Apologies, we want to be on this one, don't we? I need to change these bands up as well. What are the current bans? We've got Bike, Pitbull, Giga.
Yep, that's right.
So this Predator shouldn't be here. This Bike shouldn't be here. Yeah, that looks correct.
All right, well, let's take a look at this. So, yeah, actually, interestingly, Maximus has decided not to play Predator, and Taran has decided to. So, what we were talking about before the match is a bit of a flip around. So, we thought maybe Maximus would decide to play that. But no, Taran's brought Predator here, and that's going to be very good in this deck because Maximus playing Scorpion, that's his heavy anti-vehicle unit. He doesn't have Shade or something like that. Even laser drones, which really aren't that great. But either way, he's going to be relying heavily on these Scorpion tanks, and yeah, it could be a big problem here. He does have access to bikes though. Bikes can be a pretty big deal for Maximus. That could be pretty important.
Yeah, interesting to see that Taran decided to go for a Predator deck. How's he coping without the Pitbull? It looks like he's just sort of accepting that he's not going to have a decent mid-tier anti-air, but it seems like it's fine because Maximus is bringing almost all ground deck.
Yeah, like Phantom's his only air unit, right? Okay, well, looking pretty good here for Maximus. The bike's coming out very quickly, getting middle pad, and that was a very easy first missile there for Maximus. Didn't really have to try too hard at all. Surprising, though, I mean, Taran has all the right tools to shut down Maximus' early game, so I'm a little surprised that it was that one-sided. But either way, I mean, this is a 3-missile game, so I'm sure we'll see something come out from Taran pretty quick.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that Taran lost first missile, actually. I think Predator should basically be insane versus Maximus first missile.
Right, yeah.
Unit offline.
Okay, well, so far, it's looking pretty good here for Taran. He's now tech switched into his Razorback. So, Razorback is going to be a very good tool against these Chem Warriors. Having said that, though, as you saw there, I mean, the Chem Warriors don't go down that quickly. The Razorback is a strong tool to deal with them, but still, it does take a bit of time for them to go down. Either way, it looks like Taran's going to switch over into this Missile Razorback plan, which, you know, a bit of a classic combined arms matchup, but it's going to work out pretty well here. We see that middle pad taken down by those missiles, the Razorback shutting down the Chem Warriors, and that's going to be enough to really swing the game around for Taran. Wow, big change up.
Yeah, now he's in full Razorback missile mode. Maximus needs to get a Phantom out here. Trying to beat Razorback missile with like Chem Bike is pretty awkward. It would make a lot more sense to try and get this Phantom out as quickly as possible.
Yeah, the Phantom one-shots the Razorback, so that's still it's still a very, very strong tool for him, and Taran would then really have to have Hammerhead out. And the thing about, I guess, like the thing about Hammerhead versus Phantom, I mean, Phantom just has a little bit more of an advantage in terms of the fact that it can reload, it has burst damage, so if you protect it very well, then obviously the Hammerhead has a harder time shutting it down, but I think it can kind of go both ways, right? Like the Hammerhead with his forward Raider is pretty good too.
What's interesting here is Maximus just got a Harvester kill because Taran and Maximus both have their Harvesters in the default spots. If you move it to like behind the rock and lake, it's way harder to harass it in the mid game. So I think Taran wouldn't have lost his Harvester if he had it in the other spot.
Well, it looks like he's going to take advantage of the pop cap as well. He takes all 3 pads pretty commandingly, and there it is, the third missile and game number 2. So, yeah,
Kind of a beating for Maximus there. If Maximus can hold out for like, what, 20 more seconds, then Taran's just completely broke because he never rebuilt his Harvester. But Taran just had it, just about got there before he ran out of money.
Yeah, you're right. That is the thing about taking out the Harv. Like clearly towards the end of a missile, and maybe that's one thing that's pretty interesting that a lot of players look over is the fact that sometimes it's not correct to, like, you got to think about the timing for the Harv kill, because if you do it towards the end of a missile, then you free up a pop cap for him, and actually that's going to be helpful. That's not good for you, that's good for your opponent. But as you said, if you take out that Harvester a bit sooner and you have enough time on the clock, then Taran just gets hamstringed. He just can't build units, or at least he can't get to his expensive answers. And so that could be a way to overcome that, right? But yeah, I mean, it was just the timing didn't work out. He was able to take the pads at the end and just win it. So, but it's interesting, I think, about that decision to take the Harvester out.
Yeah. So we do have a Chuggy ban as the next ban.
Okay.
Which I think is a very respectable choice of ban. We're just going to move that over. So Taran is also not going to be able to play Chemical Buggy. There are a lot of bans here for Taran. What's interesting is, because there's the 2 factions, it's quite, even with like multiple bans, like we're at match point now. So Maximus has banned as many units he's going to get to ban in this series. with the like he's targeted Pibble and Bike like core units, and he basically got like one ban that wasn't a core unit. So it's difficult to really mess with people's decks with this few bans. So that's kind of an interesting way that turned out.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Well, we were just waiting. The players, of course, you know, interesting thing about the ban format is for a lot of these players, it's new to them, having to think through the deck to bring, right? Because, of course, in a normal competitive format, you're still thinking about through things like, you know, what does he play normally? What would be good on this map? What am I good with? Like, what would be the most reasonable thing for me to bring? But then you throw bans in there, and that changes things up a lot. In some ways, I guess what we might see is players are just going to stick to decks that they know very well and simply replace the unit that's been banned, which is kind of what we saw from Serpus. But you know, for some players, because they're of this skill, it's going to cause them to really go through a lot of rungs in their mind about what exactly do they play, and it's kind of what we're seeing. But either way, looks like our players have figured it out. So
yeah, I think we will be ready to start momentarily. All right, here we go. Nope, that's the wrong side. Could be this one. Yeah. There we go.
yeah, bear with us. A little
No,
bit of
these bans
extra
are on the wrong side,
production
aren't they?
values going on.
No, these bands are on the wrong side. Apologies, chat. It should be like this. That should be a pit. Yeah, okay, it's just all gone wrong. That's supposed to be a pitbull. There we go. So that should look like this, I think.
All right, well, let's take a look at these decks. So, yeah, really quickly here, Maximus actually playing an interesting deck here. I think this is interesting in the sense that I believe this is a deck that he plays a lot of, except I'm pretty sure he's very much missing Pitbull in this deck. He probably wants to replace the Jump Jets with a Pitbull, would be my guess.
No, this is the original
he does play a
Maximus
lot of
deck.
Wolverine.
This is the original Maximus
Is it the
deck.
exact same list? Like, is it the
Yeah,
actual list
he
without any
always
changes
played
to it?
Wolverine. He played Rifle, Missile, Jump Jet, Talon, Orca, Wolverine. This is the OG Maximus deck.
Oh, so it's okay, all right, no changes. Well, you know what? I mean, he's up against a wall here, right? So he's got to try and bring out his best. And then Taran really sticking with actually a pretty vanilla deck. I mean, the only difference here is he's running buggy over bikes, but he does have stealth tank and lasers, so he does have a way out. But Maximus has no area. Well, he has Orca, which is really his best area unit here, which is going to be contested by the stealth tank. So I don't know. I don't think Taran's missing the bikes as much as Maximus is missing the Pitbull, in my opinion.
Well, yes. I mean, Maximus would not play this deck, I think, without these bans.
Okay, well, unfortunately for Maximus, he wasn't on the pads. The Flame Troopers being a big problem, of course. Maximus relying on 3 infantry units. And, well, again, Taran just playing the pads very well. The Stealth Tank getting tons of value against the Orcas. He headed out first, which is a pretty big deal. The Stealth Tank having the extra movement speed helps a lot, but really just being in position first is just a huge deal. So, yeah, Taran comes out on top, missile number 1. Maximus not looking too great. I mean, yeah, I don't think he's won a missile yet, has he?
He's definitely getting curb stomped. Taran is very strong, and this has been a rough series for Maximus.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, I mean, Taran's no slouch. He's one of the
How
best
many
in the
flamers there
game,
are.
so.
This one stealth tank is just killing absolutely everything. Like, he's even split-shotting the Talons. Completely brutal, man. Literally 4 flamer, 1 stealth tank. There's 1 stealth tank doing everything.
Reminds me of the days of Agent Shadow when he would just really extract so much value to the stealth tank, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. Taran just really making a ton of value out of that stealth tank. It's one of those few units where if you play it extremely well, that's kind of what it does, and that was just a very good showcase of what can be done with a unit like that. Taran in a master's hands there just absolutely comes out on top, and you know, I mean, yeah, obviously Maximus had a tough series, but at the same time, like, Maximus still played pretty well. Like, it wasn't like he was, you know, embarrassed in this series, I would say. But Taran, you know, obviously, clearly a very good player, too. Clearly a monster. This is the guy to watch out for. But, yeah, overall good series, though. I mean, Maximus definitely tried hard. I'd like to see the different decks. Wolverine coming out in a tournament. That's always exciting.
Yeah, I mean, Maximus bringing the OG Maximus deck, which is not good after all the nerfs. Maximus got hit very hard by he got hit hard. It was really unfortunate for him because he basically got hit hard by these nerfs that didn't really have anything to do with him or his deck. Like, his deck wasn't It was kind of just, I mean, it was the whole Talon jump jet thing, right? Like, Talon jump jet, Maximus always played Talon jump jet, but it wasn't the best thing to do for a long time. And then it became the best thing to do, and then it got nerfed. And, you know, it kind of messed with him because he was not even playing the best deck. He was just playing a traditional GDI spam deck, but then GDI spam decks became the best thing to do. So then they got nerfed.
Yeah.
Which Maximus only ever really wanted to play that one deck. He never wanted to play another deck. He's very sad to have that happen to him. Right, so our first bans are going to be, to the surprise of no one, Attack Bike Pitbull.
Yep. Of course.
For those of you wondering, it is the Alicia has lost Pitbull and Rish has lost Attack Bikes. It is going to be Rish versus Alicia for this next series.
You know what? I think against a player like Alicia, I prefer to ban Pitbull over Attack Bikes just because the skill ceiling difference with the Pitbull, right?
That's fair.
I've seen the micro that Alicia has with those Pitbulls, and it's just so insane. I mean, Attack Bikes are really good too. Obviously, I'm not trying to say that like one's way better than the other, but like just the way Alicia plays Pitbulls, I feel like they're more of an issue than Attack Bikes. That said, though, I think her Attack Bike micro is quite good too. So, but a good place to start. Good place to start.
Alright, so we're just waiting on the players to join. We do have Rish, we're waiting on Alicia. Maybe she doesn't just want to immediately play her Nod deck with the Pitbull ban. We'll have to wait and see. There is Alicia, so we are ready to get started.
Establishing battlefield control.
Sort out the bans.
3, 2, 1. New objective received.
All right, well, let's have a look at these decks. And, okay, well, Rish has brought well, we're seeing Tic Tanks for the first time in this tournament. That's exciting. And he's playing a very unusual deck in terms of the makeup of this. So, of course, he doesn't have access to Attack Bikes. That's the unit that Alicia's banned. So he's instead going to rely really heavily on Phantom. But he does have Chembug and Tic Tanks, which is an interesting combination. And on fighting through with the paths so close together, I guess there are lots of ways to make that work. And then he also has Inferno to back things up. Alicia, on the other hand, does have Shade, so of course Shade it's okay against a Tic Tank, but a Burrow Tic Tank has a lot of hit points, so the Shade doesn't clear them very quickly. But she does also have tanks, so tanks can help out a lot.
Yeah, I'm really
I mean,
interested to see if Rish can get. The problem is Rish is gone for this Chuggy to counter the Flamer, then Alicia's going to go tank. Rish needs his Tic Tanks like positioned in play before Alicia's tanks get into position. Because if Alicia starts rolling out Scorpions, the Tic Tanks aren't going to get burrowed. They're going to get killed on the way in. So I think it would have been better for Rish against those bikes to simply make a tank instead of trying to go Chuggy Laser. Like, he opened up Rifles, and then obviously he was up against War Factory. He could have just gone Tic Tank against Alicia's War Factory, and then not worried about the Flamers. And I think that might have been better, considering that he needs to get Tic Tanks into play. But he needs them positioned early to take care of Alicia's Scorpions. Right, so there is a Tic Tank burrowed now. There are 2 Scorpions though. It's going to be a bit of a problem for this Tick. Second Tick is rolling up. If this second Tick gets into position, it could be a problem for Alicia. She is switching into those Shades now. Not sure why this Tick moved. Is it going to burrow in time? No, the Shade takes it out. Doesn't burrow in time. But there it is. Rish does take first missile.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Like you said, the thing about Tic Tank is in the matchup against tanks, you basically just want to get it into position first. And if you can do that, a Tic Tank burrowed has effectively 6,000 hit points. Now, for comparison's sake, a Mammoth Tank has 6,900 hit points.
Yeah.
So do a little math there. It has a shitload of hit points.
Yeah, Tic Tank burrowed is like close to Mammoth Tank hit points, which is nuts.
Yeah, so like we're saying, you get into position early, and then what you do is you defend it very well. And because it has so many hit points, and because it takes so long to kill, it's way easier for you to build up an economy by doing that, and then you just keep spitting out Tic Tanks, and eventually Alicia just cannot overcome it. So that's kind of where Rish needs to be, and right now it's all looking like that's the case. He does have an Inferno out, so he's starting to shut things down. Getting rid of the Flamers is good, because of course that means his laser is going to be more effective, and he a good job moving that laser into that Flame Hexer just to free up that pop cap as well. So far looking a little bit better, but now we got a Phantom coming out. He's got to be very careful here. This reloaded Inferno going to try and get another shot off, but Alicia with the excellent micro backing it off and getting 3 shots off from the Phantom, nearly taking it down, and with the boost on the Inferno, almost killing it out, but he might still get one more shot out of it. We'll see.
I think Rish would have been better off just absorbing the first Phantom volley to kill those Flamers, because this Inferno hasn't fired again since then, and at least he would have got a bomb off.
Right, well, he does manage to get one more shot off, so imagine a little bit more value, and the Shade going down as well. Rish actually looking pretty good, but never mind. Wow, that sneaky tank on the bottom pad, just stuck in there in time, taking that pad and giving her the missile. Well done, and that was really important. She nearly dropped out of the game there, but yeah, no, she's got plenty of time to come back now.
A very, very close one there. Almost saw Rish take that down 2-0. Would have been a huge upset, I think.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Rish has been doing very well, though. Got to give him a lot of credit for what he's done so far. And well, okay, an interesting point here, Blade. Like the Harvester is moving, and we see Rish actually is a little bit down and out because Alicia's Harvester got over to the other side, and Rish's didn't. And we're only halfway through this missile. That could be a big deal.
And that Harvester kill is a big deal as well, because it means that Alicia has a lot more money now. Although Rish does have the control of the positions. Like Rish has the pads. If he can hold it just a little longer, he could take this down here. It's going to be close. He needs. I don't think he's going to get those lasers. I think these flames are going to be in time to clean it up, though. Super close. Could go either way.
Well, the boost of lasers clearing up the Shade. The flame troopers. Oh, but he
no! Why did he move off the bird? He had it.
Oh,
he actually had it. No! Oh my god!
Wait a minute, he's got it back.
He's got it? Has he done it? Rish!
And he does
there it is! Taking down Alicia. There it is, chat.
Wow, that was, I gotta say, really well played by Rish. I mean, I don't know what to say about that match in terms of, like, maybe Alicia is just a little bit rusty. I don't think so. Like, she was making a lot of smart micro plays there, blocking her units, and, you know, like, her tank micro was good there. Rish, though, I don't know. The deck was obviously a big factor in that. Like, having the chem buggy helped out a lot, because he had to deal with those flames. And, of course, Alicia didn't have any lasers available to her, so she had to rely heavily on the tanks. And once the Infernos came out to clear that out, it was kind of sad to see the Tick Tanks didn't do a whole lot, right? But the Infernos, once he switched over to Infernos, got lasers out and chem buggies, it just seemed like it was really hard for Alicia to overcome that. And he also played it well too. There's that too.
I think the important thing is that Alicia has now joined the ranks of us mere mortals who have lost games to Tick Tank. Because a while back she was telling me...
Oh my god, yes!
A while back she was telling me about how Ticks are complete garbage and only trash players lose to them. So...
I'm so glad you remembered that. That's right! Oh, yes. In your face, Alicia. Oh, too funny.
So I think it's important to know that Alicia clearly washed up now, joining the ranks of garbage players losing to Tick Tanks.
Oh, that is too good. Yeah. I mean, you know what? Like, Tick Tanks are pretty good. I mean, it depends on the situation you're in. Like, if you have a way to deal with them, they're not amazing. It's not like they're going to shut the game down, but because they have so many hit points, if they're played properly, like if Rish had got them out early, like you were talking about at the beginning of that match, where instead of going into Chem Buggy, like he really just needs to make sure that his unit order has a Tick Tank earlier, because as you said, as soon as Alicia gets a Tick or a Scorpion tank out, way harder to get it in place. I mean, if a Tick Tank got out early, like you would have seen what it does best, which is it's hard to remove. And you're sitting there, you have to throw so much at it. It's kind of like dealing with MGs, where you actually become cost inefficient trying to clear it out. And that's how the Tick Tank player gets ahead. So, yeah, we could have seen that happen. Didn't, but yeah, I mean, that's I can't believe that. That's too funny. We're gonna have to remind her of that for sure.
So Alicia has gone for a Missile Trooper ban, which I think is pretty smart. I don't know if Missile Troop is better than Laser, though. Like, I think lasers are better than missile troops. I think a laser ban would make more sense than missile troop ban. But
well, so she had banned bikes, right? First in the first round. I mean, I guess in terms of the cumulative bans that you put in place, do you go for the same faction or do you even it out? And I guess maybe that's what she's thinking, is that like I want to put a dent in both sides.
Yeah, maybe. Also, maybe she's just like, maybe she's gonna play a deck that's weak to Razorback Missile, and she doesn't want to lose to that. Maybe that's the plan.
Yeah, that could be. Well, speaking of the plan, I think we're ready to go.
Before we start the next game, oh, never mind, too late. I was gonna just say thank you, huge thank you to Tank for a big dono to the Legion team. So thank you very much, Tank.
Oh, thanks, such a big supporter. Appreciate that a lot.
It was Miss Our Troop and for Rish. There we go. So yeah, we see Rish has gone for Chuggy Laser again. They've got Giga. A very interesting deck here, actually, from Rish. Wheel Chuggy as his only anti-infantry. I guess he's got Inferno, so he's not just like stone cold dead to mutants.
Right, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, mutants would have been a good choice from Alicia, based on what we saw in the last game. The deck's obviously a good choice, and Alicia doesn't really play lasers, so in this case, Rish being slightly weak to them means nothing. So yeah, actually I gotta agree with you. I mean, the Giga though, I guess its only job is to shut down the tanks, but wouldn't you just go full on to the Inferno plan with this deck?
Yeah, I think Rish is very unlikely to actually want to make the Giga Cannon, despite playing. I don't even know why he brought a Giga Cannon to this map. Like, I don't think that was a great choice.
Yeah.
I think he would have been better off served with, like, I think Mutant would have been way better, honestly. Wow, this first Giga is going to get absolutely annihilated. That's what feels bad for Rish. Really just needs to be playing Infernos, I think.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, he could free up that slot for something more useful, like something early game, or I don't know, maybe a Venom tech switch or something like that. But yeah, I agree. Like, the Giga just doesn't seem like it's going to do a whole heck of a lot. And this map isn't great for it anyways, so yeah, not really going to do a lot of good here. But yeah, Rish, unfortunate for him, he just got pushed way out of position. Alicia taking the pads first and just coming out on top. Rish, yeah, that first Giga, I mean, what a sad day for that Giga driver. I mean, holy crap, he just came out, he was all ready to, you know, exact revenge on Cade, and he just couldn't do it. Feels real bad. But yeah, again, here looking pretty good for Alicia. We're coming into missile number 2. Alicia has both pads. We've got the flames on the top. We've got the flames coming on the bottom. Shade's going to move on the middle, and that's what it's all about, folks. Alicia comes back. Missile number 2, and there it is.
Yeah, totally dominant performance in that game. Complete. Like, the first game was close. Rish eked it out. That game was not close. Alicia just crushed. Like, it's hard to argue with it. Hard to put it any other way. Alicia just dominated that game. I didn't like the Giga at all. Like, the Giga was a bad choice, I think, to bring, and then the timing on when he made it was very bad. Like, there was a tank outside his base when he made it, and he had nothing to block. So he made a Giga and just immediately lost it. It was very weak. Very weak for a performance there for the Giga. But, you know, I mean, Rish, he won the first game, which is already a monumental achievement, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Alicia's one of the players in this series that I'm sure everybody's expecting to make it towards the end or even win the whole thing. So yeah, she's obviously one of the people here that if you're in this tournament, you're concerned about that. That's the person you think you may just get 3-0'd against. I know if it was me, that's how I would feel. I'm sure anybody else would. Because Alicia's a beast. I mean, yeah, like certainly she's maybe not as strong as she was, say, a year ago, but she's still, like, this is still Alicia we're talking about. Even if she's not as practiced as she was, she's still got that really core fundamental micro gameplay down. So yeah, no matter what, this is the person you really got to watch out for. And yeah, being up a game, that's pretty good. And you know what, maybe Rish walks away with that and is happy. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, Alicia is like, if Alicia's not the best player anymore, then she's like second or third. Like, it's not a big drop.
Yeah,
she's still better than like if and this is a big if, she's not the best player anymore, she's still, you know, better than almost everyone in the game. There's like maybe 1 or 2 people who beat her now. But and that's only if. Like, there's also, I would not be at all surprised if Alicia just crushes this. Like, if Alicia wins this tournament, I don't think anyone's gonna go, oh my god, I didn't see that coming.
Right, yeah, I mean, she's won probably the most tournaments out of anybody out there.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Yeah, like, right? Like, she's just good, you know?
Yeah,
just good.
I'm trying to think who won. I'm reasonably confident she won the Game TV finals, which was the last band tournament. I'm trying to think who won, like, the last major Legion thing we did. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was Alicia again, like, so. Alright, so let me
into
just
this game, we got Rish banning Shade.
Yeah, so Rish has banned Shade. I don't know if we talked about that yet. Probably because Alicia is playing this, you know, no laser Shade deck. So Rish has gone for a Shade ban. And both players are in game. I think we are ready to start.
I'm ready to go.
Here we go, game number 3.
Okay, so big change up here from Rish. We are here on Hold the Line, and he's decided to bring GDI Jackson playing an APC deck. Very interesting. Of course, missile troops are banned, so that's why you're not seeing them here. He's decided instead to bring jump jet troopers, which not unreasonable. If you want to play GDI, jump jets still kind of work in that role. They're just not quite as effective as the missile troopers, but still, if that's all you got, then you might as well run them. Alicia, though, bringing the Inferno deck on her end, so that's great. I mean, if Shade gets banned, Inferno, it's just like, well, I'll just play Inferno then, you know? That's kind of where Alicia's at. And yeah, I gotta say, this is a deck she knows a lot. In fact, I think this is considered the Alicia Inferno deck. Am I right about that?
Yeah, this is the old school Alicia. She calls it Infernom, I think. Rish here deciding to save for that tank and getting pretty heavily punished by a Harvester kill. That's pretty savage. And Alicia very, very weak to Predator spam, but now that she's got that Harvester kill, she's able to power out this Inferno. This is really bad. This is a really bad time for Rish, because like his best way to win this game was to engage in a War Factory mirror and then win with Predator tanks. So the fact that Alicia's already switched into her air is not good for Rish.
Yeah, Alicia just being very dominant in her pressures. We see here, getting that Harvester kill has actually pushed Rish back a little bit, as he's just not able to get into any expensive options, having to spam these dogs and pickles, which might not do it. That Predator tank goes down to the Flame Hexes as well. We said Inferno with the boost getting a bit of extra reload, but Rish having all 3 pads, this might be enough. Hold on a minute. Oh, the flip though with the Inferno just reloading at the last second, but the dogs! Oh, the dogs come in hot. Wow, that was a really, really close one, and Rish just managed to barely get there. I mean, Alicia, it just looked like she was a bit tied up in the Inferno, and she just couldn't spit a unit out onto the pads.
Yeah, definitely. Despite the fact that, I mean, Rish played really, really well to sneak that missile, but it was a classic case of I'm going to spam dogs to win.
Right.
We're probably not, like, I don't think, it was kind of like a sneaky missile, right? Like, it's unlikely he can maintain that kind of a lead. Like, he's not been ahead is what I'm trying to say. Like, he's behind, he continues to be behind. He has outs to, like, potentially steal another missile, but it's not looking very good for him.
No, I mean, at this point, Alicia could just throw both the Infernos at the base and probably clear it out that way. Although, no, she lost her first missile. That's probably really risky, but never mind. That is exactly what she's gone to do. So she's going to take the missile and the base. I believe there it is. 1 missile's worth of damage is now gone, and that's going to be it. Alicia comes back.
Yeah, very. Both players playing not super surprising here.
Yeah, what is okay, well, he's gone right back to his roots, bringing out that Ken Buggy Tick Tank Inferno deck. It worked once, it may work again, and interestingly though, right, because Alicia is playing Buggy Scorpion, and in this mirror match, like, obviously the Tick Tanks are going to be a bit of a problem, I think, because you want to have mobility with the Infernos. Like, having the Tick Tanks stay in one spot, and then as soon as Infernos are out, I feel like the Tick Tanks are actually going to be worse in that position. But then, I guess the Ken Buggy might be a good way to steal a pad at the last moment if there's lasers, but that's about it, right?
Yeah. Again, like, if the ticks, like, it takes a lot of Inferno bombs to kill a tick. It's like we were talking about. It effectively has like 6,000 hit points, and Inferno does 2,000 damage. It takes a really long time to kill a tick tank with Infernos. So if Rish can get these tick tanks burrowed, it is legit. Oh, he's going for the Chuggy again. This is the same thing that happened last time. He goes Chuggy, Alicia's goes Scorpion, and the tick is not that good because it's really hard to push it in.
I really thought he was going to go Tick Tank.
I really thought he was going to go Tick, especially when the Buggy is there. Like, you need to kill the Buggies, right? Yes. The Buggies beat the lasers. So by going Chuggy laser, you just lose to the War Factory. So yeah, I'm not sure about this.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that he wanted to use a combined arms unit with the lasers, right? Like, he's got lasers out, now he's using the Chem Buggy to shut down any counters to them, but yeah, having the Tick Tank out early would really help. But having said that, Alicia's allowed to mod the pads now. We got the Chem Buggy on the far left, hex of that bottom pad, and there we go.
The Tick just killed the Scorpion? I'm amazed that the Tick killed the Scorpion there. That didn't look like it was low enough hit points to die in a single Tick shot.
It was very close. I agree. I wasn't sure if it was going to take one shot to do it, but yeah, I mean, the Tick Tank walked in and cleared it out, so that's really good. And now Rish is getting double Tick Tank out. Maybe at this point, if he can continue to spit these Tick Tanks out, Alicia might, yeah, as you said, have a lot of trouble clearing them with. Like, the fastest thing she has to clear them with are lasers, scorpions, and infernos, and yeah, it might take a while. So I don't know. This is actually looking not too bad here for Rish.
Yeah, I don't know if Rish can handle the Infernos is the problem, because he's not playing Stealth Tank. Like, if he had Stealth Tank, he could just make one now and drive it forward to attack that Inferno. Instead, he's going for Phantom, which also won't even kill the Inferno in one volley. So I think he actually would be a lot better off bringing Stealth Tank in this deck.
Okay, so the Flame Axes did just enough damage against that Tick Tank, and the Scorpion goes down. All three go down. Oh my god! Oh, this is so close. He doesn't get the lasers in there in time. The Phantom will survive, but does he get on the bottom? And he does. The Phantom, I think, has enough hit
I think
points
he boosted the wrong laser there. He must have boosted the wrong laser. There's no way he meant to boost the laser that was already on the pad. Surely he was trying to boost the one to get to the pad sooner. I think he might have won the game there if he boosted the other laser.
Close. I don't know. Two buggies there might have cheered up the lasers quickly.
But they were
enough,
already shooting the other one, and he just needed to live. Like, he just needed something on the pad long enough. So, and then he's too aggressive with these Tick Tanks as well. Like, why is he trying to burrow them on Alicia's far pad? That's so aggressive.
Yeah, you want to just inch forward and just, they're good for taking map control, right? And yeah, pushing them so far up, way harder to defend it because you don't want to leave it on its own. I mean, that's why you play Chem Buggy with it. So yeah, I agree. I'm not sure what the idea is there. Now, I mean, Alicia is just starting to snowball. She's got a Harvester kill down. She's got lots of money. Like, she's at 120. She can replenish these Infernos if need be. And also, Rish is just pushed off the map. Like, he's far back. He doesn't really have a lot of money. He's not able to get to any of the expensive answers. I mean, Phantom's not coming out anytime soon. That Harvester, look at how low HP it is. The Inferno is just a monster. Yeah, nothing more to say than that other than Alicia, well played.
Yeah, I think that one might have just been Rish throwing more than Alicia playing well, honestly. Like, I really think if he boosted the laser that was on the way in, instead of boosting the one that was already getting destroyed by two buggies, the new laser would have lasted long enough to fire the missile and he would have won the game. So, I really think that was kind of a throw.
Yeah, I think if we replay that in simulation and you do it the way you suggest, I don't know if it's enough, but yeah, it was close enough that I think you're right. I think had he done that, I think he would have managed to take that missile and win the game. So close though. Oh man.
So close.
Gotta give Resh a lot of credit. Like, he came really close on a number of occasions, and I don't think there's a lot of players that can do that. Even some of the best have a tough time getting anywhere against Alicia, but he pulled out some really kind of cheesy tactics. But I mean, you're in a tournament, and who cares if it's cheesy or not? The fact is, you got to win. So yeah, I gotta give Rish a lot of credit. Really interesting gameplay from him. Too bad for him, but it was Alicia as well. She's pretty tough.
Alright, so we're going to do our next giveaway now. So let's move to the giveaway scene. Alright, so here we go. Our second raffle winner is going to be Guy T, my dude. Congratulations, Guy T, for second raffle winner. Okay, so we're going to reset that and open up the giveaway again. And we'll go back to the desk scene. Alright, so our next match is going to be Serpus versus Natsky. Let me set up the bans. I don't know if we have bans yet.
Not that I know of. No, not yet. So it's Natural Sky versus Serpus. Oh boy, okay. Alright, it's gonna be a good one.
Alright, so the bans are going to be bikes on both sides. I respect that.
Makes a lot of sense.
Bikes are real good.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, both players, like, these are two players I would consider being versatile, right? Like, in terms of playing different decks, these are two that have a lot of different options available to them. Natural Sky tends to play some very unusual decks, I think. Like, he likes to experiment a little bit. I mean, he was playing like a Mutant Marauder Laserless deck for a long time. He was playing like this weird Laser Drone deck for a while too. So I know Natural Sky likes to come up with unique ideas for his deck, so maybe he's going to bring something here. But Serpus as well, a deck innovator. Like, he's come up with a lot of really strong, viable, competitive decks. I mean, the Titan Razorback deck, the Mutant Marauder Chem Buggy deck. Well, I'm not going to say he invented that deck, but he was one of the first people to play it. So, like, Surface and Natural Sky both have good foundations of being able to construct decks for different situations. So this series, I think, is going to be really, really interesting. The bans, obviously, are probably going to be very similar to what we've seen, but the deck choices should be really interesting. There should be a lot of metagaming going on.
So we are, of course, now on the semi-finals, Surface versus Nat Sky. First semi-final. Both players are waiting on to join. We have bike ban from both players. Interested to see what they both decide to bring on this.
I mean, Orca Bomber's not terrible.
Surface does love himself some Orca Bomber.
He is very good with it, even though it is a lot weaker than it used to be. But it still can get some things done. I mean, but also, there's just a lot of other choices you could bring here. Like we talked about no Harv MG. Like 2 range is typically very good on a map like this, but with no bikes, I guess you're not going to be worried about maybe Inferno too much, but still lots of options available.
I mean, Buggy Inferno has been a deck we've seen repeatedly this tournament. So I think a bike ban would not make me comfortable about seeing no Infernos.
Yeah, I think so.
Alright, so we do have Surface waiting on Nat Sky.
Exciting to see a new map, of course. We've been seeing Broken Mesa, Fighting Pit, Peaks and Valleys, and now we're seeing Tug of War, and this is a really, really phenomenal map. The pads being so close to the middle, it's going to make for some really great action, seeing the players try to really contest those pads. The Inferno, I think I agree with you. I think Inferno would be a very good shout here because Inferno having that extra range with the 2 flame hexes it creates from the bomb is just so impactful when the pads are this close together because you want to try and move units from one pad to the other. A lot of the times you're placing missiles or lasers on those pads and not being able to move through those flame hexes is a big deal. So yeah, I think Inferno probably. I don't know what Natural Sky decides to play. Like I say, he's got a lot of interesting choices before him. So either way, though, I think we're ready to go, Blade. Are you ready?
I think I am.
Establishing battlefield
I
control.
love that we get the background from Platinum League because of Nat Sky. When we're on the loading screen, we get the Platinum League background.
Mission received.
It does look cool. It does.
Alright, so we do have GDI. We do in fact have the Buggy Scorp again, although I'm really surprised to see Venom again and still not Inferno. Surface going for a... Yeah, I mean, we've seen Surface play this deck before as well. The Predator Borka deck. It's basically Predator Shock, but with Borka as an out to Giga Cannons. I don't think Borka actually, I think if the Giga Cannon deck gets set up well, then it can respond to the Borka immediately with a Phantom and just hold it off. But Nat Sky not choosing to play Giga, so it's not going to be an issue. I think Surface should be favored here because his Scorpions are going to crush. Sorry, Predators. Like, Predator Pitbull just beats all of Nat Sky's deck.
Yeah, I mean, he does have Kane, so of course Kane can help a lot against the Predator tanks.
That's true.
But
A well-timed Kane
could see if that's relevant.
change things. A well-timed Kane could definitely change.
Well, here we go. Surface going to try and contest this middle pad, but of course, Natural Sky with that tank there is going to get a nice block going on, and yep, Surface just says, oh, well, I'm not going to try. Moves the shocks back, and Natural Sky takes missile number 1.
Alright, so there it is. The Scorpion does dominate the first missile. Surface does not have time to get his Predator out. I do think that in the long run, the Predators will take over, though. Well, actually, you know what? Now that Nat Sky's won that first missile, he's in a position to cane a Predator near the end of the missile and just win like that. If he can, get this missile charging, I think he wants it charging quickly. I think Surface realizes that as well. He's trying to make it slower. He's waiting for that Borka. If Nat Sky can just, time his cane right and then win the missile off of it, that could be huge.
Yes, I
I think
so.
he could cane now.
One-shot
He could
tank,
cane
so-
now, take out the tank, send in the Scorpion to kill the Pitbull, just win the game. I think a cane, maybe that's why Surface moved Surface moved the shocks in to block the cane. That was a very nice play from Surface.
Yeah, here we go. So, of course, the Kane Tower is going to clear the Pitbull here. It's going to throw the pads around, and, well, can he get on there?
Move the Venom! Move the Venom to the right, bro! Just move the Venom! Just move the Venom and you win! Oh my god!
There it is. Okay,
So
it doesn't get
tilting.
that in time, but the tank's going to clear it up. The Venom's going to go down one more shot. There it goes, buddy. Pierre.
Finally!
The tank
Oh
on
my
the pad
god.
with the tower. my gosh. Wow.
Now I'm not
You
trying to
called
take
it.
over. I'm not trying to take over from Bike Rush's casting of yelling at the players what to do. But holy crap, man! What are you doing? Just move the Venom. Like the Venom was moving to the right, and he moved his lasers to the right onto the middle pad at the same time. I'm like, oh, he's just sending the Venom to the far right. He wins easily. And then they both stop on the middle and just sit there for like 10 seconds. What are you doing? Just move to the right.
It's an intense game, you have to remember. But yeah, I know, I agree. Like, after we're sitting there, it's like, no, you just throw your Venom over there, and of course that's when things switched around. But yeah, but yeah, like obviously Natural Sky realized that in time because that was what allowed him to come out. And you know what? That tower at the end, so important. Like killing the Predator and the Pitbull, and it also took out the Pitbull at the very end there. That was very, very important. So, or sorry, the Predator tank. Like the tower was just the win card in that match, and I gotta give a lot of credit to Natural Sky. So that was really well done. Really good stuff.
Yeah, and I really feel like we should talk about the Surplus Kane block. That was so good. Surplus clearly knew that Nat Sky was trying to Kane right at near the end of that missile. He moved his shocks into that tile to block and forced Nat Sky to play his Kane in a weird position. The Kane was still good enough, even in the weird position. But, I mean, like, he clearly blocked where Nat Sky wanted to Obelisk, and it was huge. It was a huge deal that he had blocked that.
Yeah, because there's one hex that Obelisk doesn't shoot at for that pad, as opposed to covering the entire pad. So yeah,
it also
actually,
can't
you make a really
shoot.
good point there.
It can't shoot the top tile of the left pad, or even the far left tile of the left pad where it was, which meant that if somehow Surplus gets a unit around the top, the Kane doesn't block it. Whereas the standard Kane spot fully covers 2 whole pads. So it was a really nice play to block. It was a really nice play to block there.
Yeah, that's some high level stuff for sure. Wow.
Yeah, and like given how aggressively the shocks moved into that tile as well, and there was like no reason to do it other than blocking the Kane. Like it was not a good play tactically for any other reason. So you have to assume that's what he was doing it for. Like there was no reason to move that shock up so aggressively except to block Kane. So it's really unlikely that there was any other reason for him to do it, and it was a very good play to do it as well. So yeah, I like that a lot.
Yep.
I think maybe if Surplus had found a way to make that play and also have the Predator not forced to get killed, but there was just like the map is so good for Kane. Like it was really, there was no way he could put the Predator that wasn't going to get. It can only be on the top of the middle pad, and then it's not really doing anything.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, like it would have been easier for Natural Sky to block him out at that point. I mean, it's so hard to say though because the tower did shoot the tank at the end there. Like there were only there were 2 laser troops and then there was a buggy on that pad and there was a Predator tank left behind. And I think the Predator wins that in time, but I think because he had to push his tank down, I think the tower cleared it. I could be wrong, but
yeah, the Predator came down behind the shocks, and then the Obelisk could shoot it as its first shot, which is like. I'm not sure what else the Predator could have done. Like, it could have sat way back. Maybe that's better. I'm not sure.
True.
I think his plan was to, like, push up the Predator and maybe try and sneak it far left away from the Obelisk. Or, like, he was hoping that by blocking the Obelisk tile, Nat Sky just wouldn't Obelisk. But Nat Sky was like, I need an Obelisk now, so he just put it in the wrong place. Which was obviously what he had to do as well, so...
Yeah, it was the correct thing to do. Definitely.
Yeah. Alright, so both players are in the game. I think we are ready to go.
Yep.
Establishing battlefield control.
It was... What was the ban was Pitbull, right? Yeah, ban was Pitbull.
Yes,
3,
correct.
2, 1.
Okay, and as you're seeing, a big change in map. We're here on Orbit. A very, very big contrast to what we just saw on Tug of War. As, the pads are very, very far apart, so we see Natural Sky switching completely over into a Seth deck, which, Seth, I think makes a ton of sense on a map like this. Obviously, you want to have something that can get to a pad very quickly, and Seth does a good job of that, so not surprising there. Surface does have a reasonable tool to deal with it in Razorback, but Razorback with its movement speed nerf actually makes it a bit worse. So it may not be super effective in contesting that. Either way, though, Surface does have some tools in his arsenal. He's got Jackson to boost units to get pads, so it should be an interesting match.
Yeah, I like Seth a lot, as you were saying. This is one of the best Seth maps in the game. Surplus only has Razorback that clears the flamers easily as well, so if Natsky can get into a position where he can flame, or sorry, he can Ceph drill pod on the opposite side of wherever the Razorback is, it can be a really big impact play.
And of course, like every other game of Rivals, we're just going to see a Militant versus Rifleman fight, and we'll see who comes out on top. Of course, the important thing about this is it does dictate the first tech switch, as we see from Natural Sky now coming out with the Venom, and that's going to force Surface into Pitbull, and Pitbull is going to be very good. Of course, Rifleman Pitbull covers all ground, so that's good for Surface. This Venom here, though, I mean, we are coming towards the first missile. You got a Central Duropod coming up on the bottom left, but it was on the bottom left, and that was very easy for Surface to respond with that Razorback. And here we go. This Razorback getting excellent value as it's chewing through these 70 cost flames. And now with the tech switch under control, that's the thing. Now Surface is dictating the tech switches here. He's able to control the matchups. He's got that left pad secured. That Pitbull, even though with 1 HP, can't secure it. So there it is, missile number 1 for Surface.
Yeah, that was a bad Ceph from Natsky. I didn't like that Ceph at all. It was too early. It was too close to Surface's base. There was nothing for it to kill. He just basically made a flamer for no real reason. Yeah, I didn't like that. I think that really hurt Natsky's chances here, because also, like, the Militant mirror going on for ages meant that Surface had the ability to free building first missile very easily, which is what Surface wants.
Right.
So that stall really favors Surface. Natsky is happy to play 2 buildings, especially with Ceph. He can play like his air tower plus his wall plus his barracks, and then Ceph first missile. And Surface can't beat the Ceph if he can't make a Razorback. So if he does it, if Natural Sky makes that first missile a lot quicker by aggressively tech switching into the Venom, then I think the Ceph is a lot better, and maybe he just wins the first missile off of it.
Unit lost.
Okay,
But now
well,
he's
here
just
we go.
getting
Missile
destroyed.
number 2. Can he do it? Oh, that Centropod meets a Razorback. It's about to go down. Hammer clearing up that Venom very quickly. Now he's going to try and get onto the pad, but of course, not really going to be able to contest it. It was just a matter of time anyways, but yeah, Surface, all 3 pads covered very quickly, taking down missile number 2.
Savage game, man. I think Natsky, the matchup, the way that, because Natsky was playing like a Ceph aggro deck, he didn't want it to go long.
Yeah.
He didn't want a rifle mirror for like a full minute. He wanted a rifle mirror for like 20 seconds and immediately mix things up. And obviously that's difficult to know going in, but I think you can assume that a GDI deck is more likely to be a free building deck, especially with rifles at the opener. Like, you're almost never going to have rifles as your opener and then not have an air tower. It's really unusual. So,
Exactly.
I think seeing the rifles, you're supposed to know that GDI wants the game to be short. Oh, sorry, wants the game to be long, and therefore as Nod, you want the game to be over a lot quicker.
Mostly for the first missile, though, right? Because that's where GDI struggles a lot against Nod, is just contesting the first missile, because attack bikes are so fast, and, well, I mean, Natural Sky didn't have attack bikes, but, you know, just in general, Nod contests first missile a little bit better. Well, maybe not a little bit, maybe a lot better than GDI does. And I agree. Like, getting stalled at the beginning there for Surface was so big. Because, as you saw, one thing that happened there was Surface got into all 3 buildings, which, like you say, that's where GDI wants to be, and that is actually the trouble it has. First missile, it never gets there because it's too expensive. Then, on Natural Sky's side, he only got into 2 buildings, which normally is fine, but he spent that money on a Ceph drill pod, and actually, I think Tick Tanks might have helped him a little bit. I mean, obviously dealing with the tanks would have been a problem, but at least he would have access to more options. But yeah, I mean, he just kind of fell apart, and the loss in economy, everything, it was a tough game for him.
Yep, and we're going to see another Pitbull ban, so it's going to be bikes and Pitbulls banned on both sides now.
All right. Might as well.
Not super surprising to see that.
Most important units, so.
The map is going to be Slashed Fields, which is it's like a decent but not amazing 2-range unit map, and it's decent for combined arms as well. That last one, Orbit, is not a great combined arms map. Surface basically just won it because Pitbull is so good. Like, Pitbull dominated Triple Nod Air, which makes sense because Triple Nod Air sucks versus Pitbull. So Pitbull Razorback was all the Surface needed, really. Now that we're on Slashed Fields, I would be very, very surprised to not see Chuggy. Like, I think Chuggy on this map is where you want to be. Maybe people will say, I don't want to play Chuggy because we're going to see tanks. Like, maybe both players bring Tank Flame instead, or Tank Shock. So maybe Chuggy, it's interesting, right? Because with the bikes and with the bike bans, people are very much playing like buggy tank decks, which is pseudo banning Chuggy. Like it's like a shadow ban on Chuggy because no one wants to play
yeah.
Chuggy into the tank decks, and everyone's just playing tank decks. So, kind of interesting. Kind of interesting
very
to see
interesting,
that.
yeah.
Okay, so we've got Surpus versus Natsky. Both players are in the game. We've got bans of Pitbull Bite from both sides, so I think we could hit it.
Let's do it.
Establishing battlefield
Here we
control.
go. Natsky with the Liang.
Liang.
Oh man, I like
Oh,
this.
love to see that.
Surpus is for sure going to be playing Inferno, right?
New
Must be,
objective
yes.
received.
Yep.
Yeah, he just replaced the. He's playing Mutant Chuggy with Inferno. Natsky. Ooh, Natsky's deck is weird.
It is
I have
very
no
weird,
idea
yeah.
who's favored on this. Let's think about this. I think
Well, so
Shock
the Taran
Tank.
is a big
Shock
deal.
Tank should beat Mutant Chuggy, but then I don't know. I don't know if Sling Talon is going to beat up on. The Infernos. Talon is really good, to be fair. Natsky could make like a lot of Talons, and that would be a nightmare
That's
for
what I'm
Surface.
thinking. Yeah, like the problem here, right? So he's got shocks to deal with the mutants, and of course, the shocks are going to lose a lot of value since the Chembuggy comes in. So here we go, Chembuggy coming out now. The shocks that Natural Sky has are no longer going to maintain value. Then he switches into Talon Spam. Talon Spam could actually be a big problem for Surface because he has no bikes. He has to rely heavily on lasers and Phantom to clear that out. So if Natural Sky picks up on that and he spams out Talons, that could be a way forward for him to close this out. So it really does depend on if he manages to realize that.
I don't think we'll see Talons until the Infernos come out. I mean, Shock Spread can beat Laser Chuggy, so I think we'll just see that. When the mutants come out, we should see the Talon switch. Maybe.
Yes,
I think
I agree.
Shock Predator can probably still beat Mutant Chuggy, so we might not see Talons come out until Inferno rolls out. But Surpus wants to go Inferno when he sees this tank. Wow, look at this, dominating first missile.
Really good play there, and
Yeah.
well, of course, Surface couldn't get onto that far left pad. He had Lone Laser try to make it over there, but the tank cleared it, so Natural Sky just very comfortably took the pads and missile. But of course, in this game, like, we're seeing a lot of stall going on, and both players have late game options in terms of Orca Bomber with Natural Sky and Inferno on Surface. So this isn't a game either player really needs to close out quickly, but like you were talking about, the tech switch from Talon could be pretty important. But here we go, it's going to be Bomber versus Bomber.
Yeah, and as predicted, the tank Shock kind of dominated against the Chuggy. Surface just straight up completely refused to even try Mutant. He just went straight into the Inferno, which probably means, it either means he just really likes Inferno, or he was like, I'm just not going to win with Mutant Chuggy against tanks, which is fair enough. Tanks are like the best answer to Chuggy. I think Natsky should be pretty heavily favored from here on out. Like, defensive Talons and Borkers are going to be really hard for Surface to break, and the Sling annihilates his air. I think Surface has a really good matchup here.
He does, and so far looking pretty good.
Heavy
but of
miss
course,
micros
those
there.
lasers,
Heavy
could not
miss
block them,
micro.
and, that is going to be Surface's missile. Yeah, pretty unfortunate there for Natural Sky, actually, because I have to agree, as we saw what was slowly starting to happen there. Also, the Liang drone there, I don't know what that was about.
Yeah, the Liang
he's
drone was
starting
in
to
the
get
wrong
Talons.
tile, and he like mismicroed his Talon, and his slingshot then had to move in and just die to a laser. It was just kind of very awkward.
Yeah, it was kind of unfortunate because what we started to see develop there was Talons in front of Slings. Talon in front of Sling, the only thing that really is a problem for that would be mutants. And so, actually, Natural Sky could start to dictate the tech switches here and control the game if he manages to do that. Because then the Infernos really just get a lot worse. But, oh, nice movement on the shocks, moving it away from that slingshot, making sure that it didn't get one shot. Of course, this is going to be an important tool here for him, as the slingshot does get some more shots off against the Inferno, but nice micro from Surface to back it out. And again, this is where things are really important. I mean, he's got to take the pad, so Surface is looking pretty good. We got the boost on Inferno. It's going to clear up that slingshot. Won't be clear in time, and there goes the drone. Well, can't take a pad, so not going to do a whole lot of damage.
Battlefield control.
See Kane
Alright.
versus Oksana. I think we're going to see Giga Cannon now.
New objective.
Yeah, there it is. Giga Cannon and artillery, my word.
Building online.
Yeah, right? No kidding. Wow, that's that is a lot of potent ranged power that Surface has got going on there. And I don't know what the thinking is. Like, he doesn't have attack bikes, right? So, of course, wheels makes a lot of sense as some sort of a blocker. And he still does have lasers. So, actually, laser wheel and, I guess, flames to some extent for the Giga is still pretty good. Natural Sky does have Kane, though. Kane is very, very good on this map. It's going to cover both pads completely if it's in the right spot. But maybe we're going to see what Surface pulled off the other game where he's going to actually block the Kane Tower. We'll see. But, yeah, Natural Sky having the Tick Tanks as well. I mean, the Giga's good against that. The artillery, though, is really where Surface wants to be in the end.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting here is that Kane is going to be super good. Surface has basically chosen units that are good for the map, and that guy's gone for a commander that's good for the map.
Unit offline.
But without the bikes, I mean, that guy is just getting fucking destroyed by wheels without the bikes available. Like, normally you tech switch quickly into bikes to beat up on wheel spam, but you can't do that when bikes are banned. So Natsukai had to wait for a tank. This is a lot of stall that Surface gets by virtue of the fact that Natsukai had to wait for a tank to fight wheels. Wow, is Surface just gonna go like super fast artillery here?
I believe so, because as we see here, like, he's not contesting at all. He's just building wheels. He's now built all 3 buildings in succession. So yes, I think that's exactly what he's doing. Is he's just going straight artillery.
He clearly didn't wanna play Giga Cannon against Kane, so he was like, I'm just gonna go straight into the artillery. I think this is a smart play because he can put the artillery far enough away that Kane can never hit it. And then just bomb the pads. Like, if he puts it one tile forward where it is now, it can hit both pads completely and still be out of range of Kane, which is clearly what he wants to do.
Right.
This is going to be super rough for Natsukai. I don't know how Natsukai beats this. He needs to end this game like right now. He needs to end the game before Surface can get a Phantom out, basically. Oh, he's pushing a Tick Tank in. I like it. I like it. Oh, it's gonna get bombed.
Oh, he's trying to get there. He almost does, but nice blocking from the lasers. We see the Tick Tank, though, gets cleared out by their artillery. And now, actually, here's a problem. The artillery only does 1,000 damage per shot. So, actually, the Tick Tank is surviving like crazy.
The Phantom is just too late. Like I said, he just needs to win the game before the Phantom comes out. And there it is. Which is the Inferno?
1. New objective received. Building online.
Chuggy, my apologies. There we go. So Chuggy is the new ban.
Unit ready.
Over here. Alright, so what we got? Back to the triple nod air. I feel like I think that guy, he must have won at least one game with this, right? Because he won his first match, and I'm pretty sure he played this in the last game. But I feel like this is the weakest deck he's been bringing.
It's, I don't know if he's played this specific loadout. I'm not sure if he played Mutants. That was on Orbit.
Yeah, the Mutants,
about, right?
The Mutants might be different.
But, yeah, I mean, so I like the Mutants, of course, because they deal with the Predator tank. The Razorbacks, though, well, because they get one-shot by the Phantoms, and this is a 3-pad map, the Phantoms should have an easier time chasing them down. Like, on Hot Zone, it might be a bit tough, because you can just, you know, ring around the Rosie until the end of time. But here, it's a little bit different, so there might be good ways for Natural Sky to contest that. That said, though, they're both triple air, so, you know, they're both really having to rely heavily on these air units. And Buggy could be an important tool. So here we go. Natural Sky coming out with 2 buggies. We got one on the middle pad. Mohawk coming out, of course, will deal with the buggy 1v1. The Mohawk will win. And now the Hammerhead using its high hit points is just going to tank. And yeah, that's kind of what we just saw there. Surface threw that Hammerhead there. Lost a lot of hit points on it, but won on the missile.
I think that guy's in a ton of trouble with not having laser here.
Unit ready. Unit
Yeah, I think you're
lost.
right. Like, just not having something to shoot down these Mohawks is a big problem.
Yeah, like he has to
yeah,
use Phantom
sure,
as well.
but-
He has to use Phantom as his primary anti-air, but like it's actually kind of hard to use Phantom to beat up on Hammerheads. Like you have to shoot them and run, and then come back and shoot them again. It takes a long time to kill off Hammerheads with Phantoms, and he doesn't really have good support. Normally, the way you beat Hammerhead with Phantom is you volley the Hammerhead, then you send bikes in to finish it off because it's so low. Without bikes, you have to rely on the Phantom getting in there twice, basically. It's just so much less efficient against Hammerhead without bike support.
Unit lost.
Now, like, one thing he could do here, which I'm starting to see him do, is he could spam buggies, right?
Yeah.
The problem, though, now that's going to force Predator Tank from surface, and the Predator Tank is just going to eat those alive. So that's the thing here. The buggies are about to lose a ton of value. Coming into now missile number 2. Surface with that Predator Tank, going to clear out that buggy. He's going to try and get a block. Will it last long enough? It is! Oh, so close! Unfortunate there. He does get the Phantom back up, but wait, a central spot on the left! Oh, man, Natural Sky using every option in the book to find victory, and there we go. Nice comeback.
Yeah, I'm interested there. Natsky moved his Phantom off of the top pad and then almost immediately back onto it. I'm very curious if that was a misclick or if it was intentionally getting the missile slightly more charged so that when his flamer moved onto the bottom left, he had less time for Cerberus to respond. Because that is the kind of play Natsky would make. Like he does these like
Yes,
charge up the missile to flip them plays. Probably was just a misclick, but could have been intentional.
Yeah, I mean, no, Natural Sky is definitely that type of player that would might be able to pull something like that off, especially in a tournament setting. So maybe he is. Well, okay, here we go.
Wow.
This is it. Can he do it? All right, we got missile number 3 coming down, and
Holy
yeah,
crap.
wow, Natural Sky just very, very comfortable with all 3 pads. You know what? I gotta say, I think the buggies actually did some real work there. I mean,
Battlefield
Nope.
control.
So apparently Quasar was trying to ban snipers to ban the sniper pitbull pred drones from Hammerhead deck. And Alicia says she was planning to play that deck because of the map. So I guess Quasar got her.
1.
I guess wrecked. Fully wrecked.
Building online.
well played, sir. All right, well then, okay, I mean, that makes some sense. But,
Well, these
what
decks are
about
almost
decks you've
identical.
played?
The only difference is Missile
Almost.
versus Borker. I think the Borker is better. I think this is going to be a shock tank mirror. So the person who's going to win is going to be the person who wins the tank mirror. But Alicia can Borker in that situation, whereas Missile's kind of stuck in a shock tank mirror. So I think I like Alicia's deck more here.
Yeah, like in terms of outs, Orca Bomber's a pretty good one. On a map like this where the pads are close together, the Orca Bomber can at least get a lot of value by just traversing over the pads. So I have to agree. And yeah, like you say, it's going to be a lot of shock and tank. I mean, that's just the way this is going to go. The missiles probably won't even be that relevant. Both of these players actually tend to play missileless or laserless decks, and Taran himself has said many times he loves tank wars, so I would be surprised if that didn't come to be. And well, here we go. First tank coming out. We got a Pitbull war going on down at the bottom. We see Taran trying to get some shots off against the Pitbull, really trying to dodge in and out, but he does need to be wary of the timing on the missile here. Predator does get one shot off on that Pitbull, and now Boosted Predator coming in from behind. Is it going to be enough? We've got the dogs on the left to stall the missile. We've got a Pitbull with the Predator supporting, and he's going to try to move the dogs and absorb some shots. But of course, that's not going to clear out the Predator tank. So yeah, it's not looking too good here for Quasar. But again, it's just going to be like a pretty much good mirror match to start things off. Okay, well, in the middle pad here, we've got double tank going on. Boosted tank from Quasar. We see that not from Alicia, actually. He has not boosted any of her tanks. A little bit of a surprise here. So it might knock her off this pad. As we see here, this Predator tank from Quasar has managed to overcome the 2 that Alicia sent in originally, and there we go. Taran wins. Missile number 1.
Wow. Imagine beating Alicia in a tank mirror.
Right? Yeah.
That's a brave new world, man. Alicia losing tank mirrors.
Now you're a tank war expert, obviously. Like you know these matchups very, very well. So, like, what did Taran do there that allowed him to win that?
I mean, to be honest with you, like, Alicia is better than me at tank mirrors. So, if she's losing that tank mirror, then I also would definitely have lost that tank mirror.
Yeah, fair enough. You know what? You're right. Alicia has exceptional, like the best probably tank fire girl in the game. So yeah, good to take some tips from her for sure. But look at this, an Orca Bomber coming out making some work. Of course, we're only about a third way through this missile, so it's not going to impact. It's not going to flip a missile or anything like that. But good to get it out a little early. That said, though, look at this Hammerhead chasing it away.
Unit enhanced.
I'm on it.
Unit
Yeah, so like I was saying, the Borker is actually an out to the tank mirror, right? Like, Taran was winning tank mirror, but Alicia can Borker.
ready.
Whereas Taran, when he made the lasers, they didn't really do anything. Like, he made missiles, they just died to shocks, they weren't great. Whereas the Borker comes in, sweeps up some tanks, makes it really fucking hard. Oh, that boost was sick. That boost meant the Predator fired first, so it kills the enemy Predator without trading. That's going to win in the missile. Like, killing that tank there is going to win in the missile. That was a very nice boost.
I was gonna say, she just moved off the pads there, but it didn't matter. She got the dogs back on, and yeah, really got to highlight that boost on that Predator tank, because they were both pretty much going to fire at the same time. And Alicia, being such a really zoned-in type player, she saw that even though her Predator tank had, like, I don't know, it was definitely down to one shot, even maybe from a Pitbull, but she still boosted anyways, as you said, to reduce the initial firing delay, to allow it to clear the tank, and that allowed that missile to be fired in her favor. Like, wow, that's amazing stuff. And that's, you know, that's the kind of stuff you expect when you get these type of players together.
I do think it's interesting to see Alicia go Borka, because it's effectively a Predator mirror, but then Alicia makes Borka. It's kind of her, you know, saying, yeah, you beat me in this tank mirror. I have to do something else.
A bit of a concession.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's kind of like, even if she wins the game, you know, Taran wins a little bit in spirit. Just a little bit, you know. He's like, you may have won the game, Alicia, with your Borka, but I beat you in a tank mirror, and we both know it.
That might be worth it all on its own. Well, having said that, Taran looking pretty good. Those shots blocking the people out, and
that shot block, man. That shot block. What a beast! What a monster this Taran kid is. Like, what the fuck, man? What an absolute, god among men.
Well, what is this? Right. Exactly.
All right. So let's see what Alicia's bringing. I think obviously the sniper ban worked out nicely for Quasar on that first game because she was going to play a sniper deck there, and he shut that down.
She was.
Orbit, of course, the sniper ban is basically irrelevant. Orbit is not a good sniper map. Wow, Taran going with scavengers to replace the shocks. I don't know about that one, man. Or lasers, sorry, to replace lasers.
Yeah, I mean, well, I agree because they don't fill the role the same way. Like they're not as good at their cost, right? Like they have less combat, like maybe slightly more combat power, but then there's only 3 of them versus 4. They are still just as slow. I mean, the 10 Tiberium mechanic is interesting, but it shouldn't make really a material difference. So yeah, I agree. Maybe he would just be better off foregoing lasers entirely and use that slot for something else.
Yeah, I do like, I mean, the Scorpion is going to be great throughout the start of this game. Alicia has, like, I've seen this deck a few times now. This is like a good GDI aggro deck. I think the metagame is not favorable towards aggro decks, but Orbit is definitely like the best aggro map in the game. So I don't hate the deck choice. I'm interested to see if Alicia can beat Chuggy Scorpion though. I think she's going to need Orcas in this one, but once she gets to Orca, she might actually be pretty favored. At least until Taran makes it to Phantom. Once Taran makes it to Phantom, I think Alicia probably is unfavored again. But her deck is better at tech switching and going to different paths with different things. Taran really just wants to like make 3 units and put them all together, which isn't great for Orbit.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's kind of what we're seeing here. Alicia's able to spam the units to pads a little bit better, but Taran, having said that, he's got that tank living long enough, so he's got both bottom pads. That's going to give him miss on number 1, but as you said, I don't think that's going to be that critical because Alicia has better tools to play the pads, and that's where Taran has a big weakness, as you pointed out. He does really want to make sure those chem buggies are next to the tanks, next to even the scavengers if he decides to make those, which I don't know if that's going to happen. But yeah, I have to agree. I think Taran has a more difficult deck to play for this map.
Yeah, like I like Alicia's deck on this map. He did get that first missile though, so you know the longer it goes, I think the better it gets for him. I think the Infernos are going to be pretty strong as well. Although he's very bad against Talon.
That is true. You know, once again, like we were talking about in that other match, Blade, the fact that Talon being so good against a bike man, that's really why you really want to play it. And you know what? Alicia not really making any so far. She's just relied heavily on Ipples and jump jets and shocks, which, you know what? I mean, against the Chem Buggy Scorpion plan may not work out so well. But having said that, this is a spread out pad map, so here we go. I mean, Alicia just had to take the top and the bottom pad, and she comes back with missile number 2.
Wow, Taran just needed like half a second because his tank was going to easily clear that bottom pad. Just didn't quite have enough time to clear it. Alicia really struggling with this tank chuggy combo, and you can see Taran's basically just like abandoning top pad. What's up with the double half?
Actually, you're right. I mean, I suppose he wants to Inferno spam. And, I mean, okay, double Harv, Inferno, Phantom against Talon, spam, single Harv. I'm pretty sure the single Harv player is still favored in that matchup, aren't they?
I mean, I think it's actually pretty smart, because he just wanted to make chuggies and tanks. And he was like, I can't make enough chuggies and tanks on 1 harvester, so I'm just going to make a boatload of chuggies and tanks on 2 half. And then as soon as Alicia gets the Orca out, which is like actually great versus his entire deck, he has a Phantom ready for it, because he's got so much money. So this is a very unusual double half, but might actually have just been a fantastic play.
You know, you make a lot of sense saying it that way because, as you said, the Phantom there is in place. We see Talons coming out in numbers, but, well, a good thing for Taran is he's got the pads and double Harv taking both pads, and Alicia really can't beat up the Harps quickly enough, so she might be able to stall the missile here.
The Talon got turned around. The Talon got bumped.
Man.
What a beating. That was so...
Yeah.
So if he wins this
2-0.
one, he just clean sweeps Alicia, which is almost... Oh, that's just unheard of, right? That's just crazy. Someone 3-0ing
New
Alicia? That's
objective
insane.
received. Building online.
Yeah, I think Alicia's deck makes a lot of sense. I like... Yeah, both decks make quite a lot of sense. Alicia's deck makes sense because, you know, Quasar can't bring a decent Nod deck with Bikes and Laser Band. And Predator makes it hard for him to bring a good Nod GDI deck. And then Quasar's deck makes sense because it's like it's a sort of competitive ladder deck that doesn't use any of the banned units.
Unit ready.
Yeah, like so he's obviously relying heavily on Gren Razorback, and I'm thinking to myself, do I want Mutant Chuggy or do I want to have Gren Razorback? And actually against Predator Shock, the Grenader Razorback is better only because of the fact that, number one, Hammerhead doesn't one-shot the Razorback, so that's one thing. Another thing is the Razorback can chew out the shocks without Chem Buggy having to take any shots, right? Like if he played Chem Buggy, it's going to be weak to the tanks and it's going to become a much more even matchup. But Gren Razorback, there's a bit of a different, he's got a bit of an edge in that sense. It's just, I think the Orca Bomber could be very good here, but it's hard to say.
I'm excited to see if these Grens do anything. In my experience,
I think they
Grens
will.
often do nothing, but potentially they could be... I mean, Alicia only really has Shock, and then Orca is like a late game plan against the heavy infantry. So you're going to have a really hard... Like, Pitbull Shock is going to have a hard time beating Razorback Missile, as we see here. Like, oh man, the Pitbull getting caught by the Grens there. Like, if it had boosted and not got hit by a Gren and got EMP'd, I can't believe I'm saying this, but we actually just saw the Gren EMP be a huge deal.
Yeah, it actually did what it's intended to do, which is trap units. And yeah, you're right, that Pitbull couldn't get to the pad because the Grenadier caught it.
Basically never seen that happen in my life, but there it is. The Gren EMP was a huge deal, and probably one Quasar the missile.
Unit ready.
Yeah, I mean, like, the Grens here are actually going to be good because the Shock Troopers are the only tool Alicia has to deal with them. She doesn't have Drone Swarm. She doesn't even have Talon. So as soon as the Shock Troopers get shut down by these Razorbacks, the Grenadiers just get a whole heck of a lot better. So I think what she has to do is switch over to Orca Bomber. But look at this. Here we go. Missile number 2, guys. Grenadiers coming out from behind, doing some actual work. Orca Bomber as well. Is the Orca Bomber going to be able to clear up the Grenadiers? But Solomon, Ion Cannon,
Solomon is cheat! Solomon is cheat!
A huge beating there as we
Holy
saw the
crap,
Iron
that
Cannon
Solomon
decent
was so
value.
good.
It's a 110 Borka, and now Alicia looking a little bit out of place. We see the Grenadiers finally get through the dogs, and now turn with all 3 pads. Can the Shocks clear up the Grens? And it will. It's gonna
Wow,
never mind.
he did
Middle
it.
pad got
The
taken
mad
down,
lad
and,
did it. He actually
there it is,
3-0'd
guys.
Alicia. Holy crap.
And he did it with the Grenadiers.
Insane. Game number 1 of the Grand Finals. Here we go. Natsky versus Taran.
That's right, and we're starting it off on Middle Oasis. You love to see the finality of this amazing series that we've been putting on come out and start like this. So, well, interesting from both players. Natural Sky bringing MLRS against Taran bringing Scorpion Tech. You know what? MLRS makes a ton of sense here.
Wow, we get a tank rush from Taran. What a mad lad.
Oh, man.
I agree with you as well. MLRS is god tier on this map. MLRS is insanely good on this map. It's like fully impossible to stop your Harvester from getting pushed off the map by an MLRS. Oh, to see a tank rush though, I mean, what a mad lad Taran is to go for a tank rush. This could end up being insanely good for him. I think he should have brought an air to ground unit though. Like, I mean, I guess obviously it's easy to say that in hindsight when you know there's an MLRS in your opponent's deck, but like with the tank rush plan as well, you want to be able to then tech switch. That's like the ideal thing to do after a tank rush is tech switch into like an air unit, like an Inferno, like Alicia would have done. Oh my god, look at this. Taran is just dominating. This is what you get for going Harvester early on Middle Oasis.
Yeah, no kidding. Like, look at this Natural Sky. Even though he does have the right tools for the job, he's just not able to pull those tools out of his belt. Taran really just hamstringing him here. Getting that Harvester kill early was a big deal. That tank that took out the Harvester is still alive, and Natural Sky is just being pushed back here. He doesn't really have a good way of pushing up. Like you said, if he had an air to ground unit like Orca, then at least he's got a way to fly over top of these tanks and get onto a pad. But for now, really, Natural Sky just having a bad time, not able to really do much of anything.
This one seems super over to me. Like, Natsky, I think Natsky's deck is heavily favored if he doesn't get shut out of the game. But he got shut out of the game. Like, The MLRS is so good on this map, and Quasar doesn't have a good answer to MLRS. But he's just pushed him off the game, like completely shoved him out of the game by killing his harvester like twice. So I mean, look, he's just going for a base kill now, which I think is a good play. You just want to keep the pressure on, never let Natsky get back into the game.
Yeah, I mean, even in this scenario, like we see the shocks are on the left pad from Natural Sky. The buggy's going to eventually clear them out, stall the missile. He's going to pull the buggy onto the pad. These boosted missiles, yes, they are going to do something, but I don't know. Well, we'll see here. I mean, the buggy is going to beat the missiles there. Of course, he's going to try and get the dogs there, but Taran having the original positioning is just going to block them off. The dogs at the top are going to serve as stall, but it's really just a matter of time. I mean, even if Natural Sky wins this missile here, look at his base.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice of Natsky. I mean, he won the missile slightly slower than he lost half his base. So if Taran keeps up the same pressure, he will win before the next missile fires.
Right. Yeah, and that's kind of what I expect to see here. I mean, he's got 2 tanks up at the base. He's got double flame. Well, really one third there. But
oh, it's
yeah,
so
I mean,
over, man.
like,
It's so over. Like the base is dead.
The
The base is dead. It's done. Love that was sick play from Taran.
Ooh, interesting choices. We got Kane versus Seth. All right.
Seth, I think he's gone Seth because he's doing this triple air deck with Seth. I don't think Seth is okay on this map. I don't think it's like amazing. Like most of the time when he's played Seth, I've been like, yeah, Seth is really good on this map. I think it's okay here, not amazing. Also, Taran is playing Chuggy. Makes the Seth a lot weaker.
I mean, the Shade is pretty good. Like, the Shade is going to help, but Shade it doesn't do enough damage against Tick Tank, right? Like a Burrow Tick Tank, that is. Obviously, if he catches the Tick Tank while it's moving, the Shade is going to do very well, but the problem, I think, for Natural Sky is the fact that Taran has Stealth Tank and Phantom in his deck. I mean, the Stealth Tank is going to be way more useful overall. Like, the Phantom, you don't want to be in a Phantom here, whereas the Stealth Tank will break that up. So I think Stealth Tank is going to be Taran's best unit here. I mean, it beats everything, right? Except for lasers, of course.
That Stealth Tank is definitely going to be fantastic, as is the Phantom. I think what Taran wants to do is, like, in the mid-game, he wants to get a Phantom and then use Stealth Tank to kill Natsky's Phantom, thereby making his Phantom dominant. I think that's likely what we're going to see.
Ooh, doesn't catch the Stealth Tank. We see Taran moving it out of the way. A Shade coming in from behind. Natural Sky just blocking things out of the way. But we got a Venom coming in, getting taken down by the Stealth Tank. The Shade here will eventually go down. We see one more shot from the laser should clear it. There we go. And now he's just going to block with a Stealth Tank. Really beautiful micro here from Taran. There it is. That gives him missile number 1.
Taran, too strong. Very nice Stealth Tank micro. Keeping the rifles, using the rifles to absorb hits long enough for the Stealth Tank to dodge the Shade, reload and kill the Venom. Very nice play.
Yeah, that was just excellent Stealth Tank micro, and yeah, that's one of the things that has made Taran such a strong player throughout this tournament is we've seen him extract infinite value out of these Stealth Tanks. Just being able to, you know, keep reloading them every time. You see clearing another buggy, and the Shade here just can't get at it, even though it's pretty much Natural Sky's best option for it.
Stealth Tank, man. It's a good unit. It's been a good unit for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt.
I killed the Shade as well. Oh my god.
Ooh, the double shot on the Shade and the Venom. Natural Sky with his tail tucked between his legs now. Not looking too strong here. I'm not sure if he's going to make it back into this game. We see a Chem Buggy clearing things up on the left hand. We got that Stealth Tank still alive. The only Stealth Tank Taran's ever needed. And now Phantom on the far right to take all 3 pads. And Obelisk to throb it out. And I think that's it. There's game.
Savage game.
Wow.
This is, of course, the best of 7, so this is not match point. We could theoretically see a 4th ban for Taran if he wins this game. And he has just gone GDI, makes sense, I guess. It is the Alicia deck, in fact. This is the Alicia Sniper Drone Swarm deck. So Taran really just... He is playing Solomon. I don't think Alicia played Solomon. I think Alicia played Jackson. But Taran really just sort of going, what deck that people choose to play on ladder can I play with these bans? That's kind of what it looks like he's doing. Like, we saw the same thing where he brought the Gren Razorback deck because it was a deck that people play on ladder that, you know, survived the bans. So it feels like he's got a list of decks that he can play, and he's just, like, going through them and going, which one of these decks survives the bans? And Natsky playing MLRS, which is a good choice on this map, but also he's going to really struggle with snipers. His deck is bad versus sniper.
I was just about to say that, yeah, because the snipers will come in and clear up the shock troopers, as well as any missile troopers blocking for the MLRS. So that means that then Natural Sky's going to have to rely heavily on dogs to avoid the snipers from clearing up the blockers. But what that just means, Taran is going to spam missile troopers against the dogs. So, yeah, snipers are quite a big problem here. If he does get an MLRS in position, I mean, he will be able to shut down predators, but the snipers being able to crack open that defense, that's going to be a big meeting. All right. Oh, and hey, speaking of defense, look at that ion cannon coming down as well. He's going to be able to get those missile troopers in position. They are boosted, but with the dogs coming in from behind, that secures that hex farm. So with those 2 pads secured, Taran takes missile number 1.
I'm kind of surprised that Natsky chose to bring the MRS instead of Giga here as well. Like, Giga is also insane on this map and would not struggle with the deck that Taran is playing. Like, I think that's why Taran is playing Solomon, is for the stationary units. Like, he's playing Solomon so he doesn't lose to Giga Cannon, is my guess. But a Giga Cannon can beat Missile Sniper in a way that MLRS just can't.
Well, plus he might have Chemical Buggy too, right? And Chemical Buggy would have been way better, so yeah.
Yeah,
no,
could have played Chemical Buggy Giga and that would have been a lot stronger.
And then this is kind of why MLRS really doesn't see a lot of tournament play. And it's just because even if you are expecting to play against Giga Cannon, there are still other choices that you might rather bring. I mean, MLRS is very, very good in really specific situations like, well, Middle Oasis, but even then, you know, it's not always going to work out. So, yeah, I have to agree. I think Giga here would have been a lot better just to at least get rid of those snipers. But yeah, Taran looking pretty strong. I mean, he's got both left pads secured once again, and he's not even really using much else than Sniper Missile. And an ion cannon coming down just for style points. There we go.
Wow.
This is number 2. Very comfortable.
Natsky moved his shots just a little bit too soon and they got caught in the ion cannon. He moved them away and then back just a little bit too soon and they got caught in the ion cannon. If that hadn't happened, he might have got back on that pad. But yeah, like, Taran basically won that game with Missile Sniper. He made like 2 other units the whole game. He pretty much just made missiles and snipers the whole game and Natsky couldn't beat it. Which is, you know, terrifying. Let's see if Taran can take us down. He's going for Kane, so we're going to see Kane with no Chuggy, no Bite. So this is going to be a Flamer Tank deck, maybe? Or, yeah, probably Flamer Tank. Yes, it is Flamer Tank with Buggy.
Kane lives!
And Natsky is bringing a Tick Chuggy deck. Interesting. So if Natsky gets the... I was going to say if Natsky gets the Ticks Burrowed, he's favored, but Kane is a really good Tick Cracker. So maybe not. Maybe Burrowed Ticks is not actually that big a deal.
Yeah, I mean, having, well, I guess, yeah, it depends on how it plays out, right? But the Tick Tanks do have 6,000 health effectively when they're burrowed, but the Kane Tower does 3,000 damage per shot. So actually, yeah, the Kane Tower is a really effective Tick Tank counter. So,
yeah.
I mean, both players have the tower, but that's not that important. The fact that if Taran can shut down those Tick Tanks a lot easier, then that just puts a big wrench in the Natural Sky's game plan, especially on a map like this. Like, it's such a good deck for the map, but yeah, I think the Obelisk call from Taran was a real good one.
The problem here is that Natsky needs to get a Tick Burrowed, and then if he gets a Tick Burrowed, gets ahead, then he can use Obelisk to counter Obelisk. I think this Tick going bottom was a huge misplay. I think he should have sent, like, he sent the Tick, it's like he sent the Tick to fight the Scorpion, but that's not a matchup you want. You don't want your Tick to aggressively move into a Scorpion. If it was me, I would have sent the Tick top and just tried to get a Burrowed Tick on a pad. I feel like that is a huge, like a huge moment for him if he has a Burrowed Tick on a pad. Well, having said that, there it is, Burrowed Tick on a pad, so who knows?
Yeah, well, he's made it onto the pad. It is low health, though. That Tick Tank is going to be a bit of a liability, as we see now Taran just able to inch onto
yeah,
the
the
pad.
Obelisk.
The first power from our opponent here, Taran getting, or our player here from Taran, it's going to shut things out just a little bit, but that didn't really matter too much. The fact was that Natural Sky just could not contest the top pad, so Taran had a pretty easy way coming back, and again, winning first missile.
Obelisk too strong, man. Obelisk too strong.
Yeah.
Like Taran is in such good shape here because Natsky's spending more on the tanks. Oh no, the Obelisk isn't gone. Oh, that's a beating. Oh, that's such a beating. I can't see Natsky coming back from that Tick Tank dying. That Tick Tank loss was too big. He needs to be able to afford his own Obelisk. Like, Taran's going to be able to afford an Obelisk by the end of this missile, and Natsky probably won't.
No, I mean, think about how many tanks both players have made. Like, Taran's made, what, 2 tanks? 2 or 3 tanks? Natural Sky's had to pump out, like, 4 or 5 of these Tick Tanks.
Yeah.
And he's just never gotten to a tower. Yeah, and here we go. Match point, everybody. This could be it. Is Natural Sky going to make his way back into this and come back? but it's not looking too good. That tower coming down is a huge problem. That Tic Tac's a half health. It's going to go down to one more shot. There it goes. And now, with the bottom pad cleared, Taran takes episode number 2. And he is today's champion of your Ultimate Arena tournament. Well,
there it is, man.
played,
There it is.
Taran.
The Kane lives, man. Kane absolutely dominant in the final game of this series. Natsky, I think he was too aggressive with the ticks. You can't like make ticks and go into scorpions. I think that's a super loose play. I think get the tick up the top, full hit points burrowed, and fortify. I think in the long game you're favored with the tick deck, because you can play a game plan of get a tick, get another tick, get another tick, and like slowly move them up until you control the whole map with tick tanks. The other deck doesn't have that choice. The other deck is more aggressive and fluid. Both decks want to get the obelisks going, but Natsky needs to be burrowed, save for obelisk, be able to counter obelisk with obelisk, and I think that's how he wins. So I think sending tick top and burrowing it, instead of trying to fight the scorpions on the bottom, would have been a much better play. And I think from there he just fell too far behind, and then Taran always had the obelisk, and Natsky didn't.
And I mean, on top of all that, Taran has just incredibly good micro. I mean, even amongst the best players, Taran is still, I would say, as far as his micro skills go, he's up there. Like, he's clearly in the same class as, like, Serpus and Alicia Destiny and, like, those really, really, really strong micro players. And even though deck advantage can sometimes overcome that, the thing is, when you can just abuse value to such an extent because you're that good, it just still becomes very, very hard to beat a guy like him. And Taran, you know what? Got to give him a lot of credit. This is a huge victory for him. I mean, geez, we've come from 5 qualifiers, the semifinals, all the way here. Quasar's made it all the way along. All the players did. Natural Sky too. You got to give him tons of credit as well. I think this is probably his biggest victory that he's ever had in his Rivals career. And
have to be his best
like,
result in Rivals ever.
Yeah. But, you know, so, you know, even though that series was 4-0 against Natural Sky, the truth is, he played in a tournament where there was Alicia Destiny, there was Serpus, there was Taran, like all these huge names, and he made his way all the way to the finals. So congratulations, guys. What an amazing game. That was a phenomenal series, and congratulations to all the players. Thankfully, we're going to be giving a little cash prize to everybody for your time spent in the tournament, but overall, what a series, Blade. What a series.
Yeah, band format. Band format really is my favorite tournament. I love band format. I think it really adds up. It makes so much. Yeah, it adds so much to the event. Like the games are so interesting. So I really enjoyed that one. And of course, I want to say thank you to my co-host Jeffrey, and of course Kenny in the background hosting all of the games. Tommy today was doing our scores and names, and I gotta say he did a fantastic job of it. Really, like, all the scores and names were up to date every single time, no problems at all here. I didn't have to step in even once, so very good job, Tommy. Thank you to Viper for all of our graphics, as always, and Sarpedon for the Legion bot that runs the whole thing. I don't know if I'm forgetting anyone. Obviously, massive thank you to all the people who donated and to support the stream and support the events. Huge thank you to you guys. We can't run these events without you. And yeah, I hope everyone really enjoyed this. We do, of course, have one more vanity raffle before we're done, but if you have anything you want to say, Jeffrey?
Yeah, well, of course, just want to say thank you to everybody for coming by. Like I say, it's a whole bunch of fun to get to showcase off the best of Rivals, so like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed that. One other thing I want to quickly mention before the end of the stream is that we do have another event planned that's going to be happening on April 10th. It is a charity tournament planned for Ukraine. So we're going to be doing that. I believe that's going to be hosted on Ensorger's stream, so make sure you tune in for that. And as always, I'd like to give a little bit of a shout out to our merch. So guys, if you want to get some really cool swag, be sure to check out our merch store. We got lots of cool stuff in there. But beyond all that, I just want to thank you all guys for being here and allowing us to do what we do. It's like I say, always a lot of fun to show off this great Rivals game. So yeah, let's admit it. All right, back over to you, Blade.
We might even see Blade play in the next tournament. Since I'm not hosting, there's a chance I might actually play the tournament.
That would be hype. I'd like that.
I haven't played the tournament in a while, so that would be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you, everybody. I think we will do our last vanity raffle, and then I believe that will be it. So, congratulations to Taran. Congratulations to Natsky as well. The furthest he's ever gone in the tournament. Obviously, didn't manage to beat Taran. Taran's a beast, but still very impressive. All right. I think that probably is everything there is to say. I think we might be done. So I'm gonna do a little. We could post the thank you to the supporters. This graphic's a little bit out of date. I'll be honest with you, chat. So
It's okay.
this also shouldn't be here. I've got there we go. There we go. Not Blade. This graphic's a little out of date. Obviously, like. Yeah, so the graphic's a little out of date, but thank you to all of our supporters, and then I've got this one as well. What's this one? Oh, this is this is a screen saying donate. So yeah, donate, chat, donate. All right, I think that is probably everything from us. So goodbye from me and goodbye from Jeffrey.
See you, everybody. Thanks so much
All
for
right.
coming by.
And thanks for hanging out, everyone. And that is going to be it. See you guys at the next one.